नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सबका स्वागत है। आज बुधवार का दिन है और आज 24 जून है। तो आज हम अपना दिन शुरू करेंगे भगवान गणेश की स्तुति करके। बहुत सिंपल सा मंत्र है। मैं पहले मंत्र आपको बताता हूँ क्या मंत्र पढ़ना है। ओम गम गणपतये नमः। ओम गम गणपतये नमः। तो हर रोज की तरह हम इसको 11 दफा करेंगे। आप भी चालू हो जाइए, अपनी माला अपने साथ ले लीजिए और हमारे साथ ज्वाइन कर ली। मैंने भी अपना काउंटर ले लिया है, तो ठीक है। हाथ जोड़ के भगवान का नमन करते हैं, गणेश जी का ध्यान करते हैं और मंत्र का उच्चारण शुरू करते हैं। ओम गण गणपतये नमः। ओम गम 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 गम गणपतये नमः। ओम गम गणपतये नमः। तो आज हमारी भगवान गणेश की स्तुति स्टार्ट हुई। अब हम सेफली अपना दिन शुरू कर सकते हैं। भगवान की हमने पूजा कर ली है। आपका दिन भी मंगलमय रहे, शुभ रहे, इसी कामना के साथ मैं इस वीडियो को यहाँ पे समाप्त करता हूँ, लेकिन जल्दी ही मिलता हूँ दूसरे वीडियो में। कहीं मत जाइएगा। नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सभी का स्वागत है। आज शनिवार का दिन है और आप सबको पता होगा कि जो शनिवार का दिन होता है वो कर्म के स्वामी शनि जी को समर्पित होता है। तो आज हम अपना दिन शुरू करने से पहले हम भगवान की स्तुति करेंगे, भगवान शनि महाराज की हम वंदना करेंगे। और आप जैसे जानते हैं कि एक छोटा सा मंत्र हम पढ़ेंगे, इसको 11 दफा करेंगे और 11 दफा करने के लिए आप हमारे साथ जुड़ें। और हम इस काउंटर का इस्तेमाल करते हैं हमेशा की तरह। आप जैसा मर्जी आप गिन सकते हैं, आप माला का इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, आप अपने मन में भी गिन सकते हैं, लेकिन 11 दफा करें अपना दिन शुरू करने से पहले। आज शनिवार को, हर शनिवार को आप शनि जी का ध्यान करें। चलिए हाथ जोड़ के नमन करते हैं और उनकी आराधना हम शुरू करते हैं। ओम शन शनश्चरे नमः। 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 ओम शन शनश्चर्य नमः। ओम शन शनश्चर्य नमः। ओम शन शनश्चर्य नमः। ओम शन शनश्चर्य नमः। ओम शन शनश्चर्ये नमः। ओम शन शनश्चर्ये नमः। ओम शन शनश्चर्ये नमः। तो दोस्तों 11 दफा हमने आज भगवान शनि महाराज, जो कर्म के देवता होते हैं, आपके लाभ और आपके जो ट्रेजेक्टरी है उसके स्वामी शनि होते हैं। तो हमेशा अपना काम शुरू करने से पहले, स्पेशली शनिवार के दिन, भगवान की जरूर प्रार्थना कर लें। तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। आपका दिन शुभ हो। तब तक के लिए मैं आपसे इजाजत लेता हूं। अगले ही वीडियो में जल्दी ही मिलता हूं, कहीं मत जाएगा। नमस्कार। नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सबका स्वागत है। अब हम विष्णु भगवान की स्तुति पूजा प्रारंभ करेंगे। एक मंत्र है, 11 बार उसका रिसाइटेशन करेंगे, उच्चारण करेंगे। तो आप हाथ जोड़ लीजिए और मेरे साथ नमन करिए भगवान विष्णु का। ओम वासुदेवाय नमः। 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 तो दोस्तों हमारी आज की पूजा यहीं समाप्त होती है। मिलते हैं अगले वीडियो में जल्द ही।
Hello friends, welcome to Akulmach Live. The global economy is at the crossroads. In this video, we break down why the next 72 hours are the most critical window for 2026 for investors, for business leaders, and also for the policy makers. With the outbreak of conflict in the Middle East and the recent IMF World Economic Outlook warning of a drop in the global growth rate to 3.1%, and therefore the stakes has never been so high. So what we got to do, what we should be aware of, stick around because we are going to discuss all of this.
Right now, as you're watching this, a timer is ticking. It isn't just a countdown for a market opening or a single earning report. We're entering a 72-hour window that historians may look back on as the definitive pivot point for the global economy in 2026. So why now? Because we are seeing a perfect storm and it is converging. We have a volatile conflict in the Middle East that is threatening the world's most vital energy arteries. We have an IMF that just sounded the alarm on the growth slowdown, and within the next 3 days, we expect the decisions that will determine if we face a controlled landing or a systemic fracture. By the time this 72-hour window closes, the cost of your energy, value of your currency, and the safety of your investment could look radically different. And here is exactly what is happening behind the scenes. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's move ahead. The first pillar of this 72-hour crisis is the energy. As of today, which is April 22nd, 2026, the volatility in the Middle East has moved past rhetoric. Markets are currently pricing in a worst-case disruption scenario. If the next 3 days sees an escalation that impact the Strait of Hormuz, we aren't just looking at $100 per barrel oil. We are looking at the supply side shock that could paralyze the European and Asian manufacturing. But it's not just about pricing at the pump. It's about the inflation ghost. Just as the central bank thought they had a handle on the rising price, the energy spike threatened to send the projected 2026 inflation rate of 4.4% or even higher. In this next 72 hours, look for the energy pivot. If the prices break past key resistance level, the global manufacturing sector will go into a defensive mode, and that means layoff and stalled growth. While the headline focus on the conflict, the underlying math is equally terrifying. Last week, the IMF released the World Economic Outlook. The headline was grim. The global growth is projected to fall to 3.1%. Imagine, only 3.1%. But the real story is in the next 72 hours of the diplomatic response. Financial leaders are currently meeting to decide if they will coordinate a liquidity injection or if it's if every nation for itself. We are seeing a massive divergence. While some economies are showing resilience, others, particularly in the developing world, are facing a debt wall. If we don't see a collaborative signal from the G7 or the IMF in these 3-day window, we could see a flight to quality that strip emerging markets of their remaining capital. This is the great repricing of 2026, and it is happening in real time as we speak. When the world gets scared, money moves fast. In the next 72 hours, we are watching the 3 safe havens, which is gold, US dollars, and increasingly digital assets. Gold has already been hitting the record high, but the next 3 days will test its ceiling. If we see a breakout, it's a signal that the big institutional players have lost faith in a quick diplomatic resolution. Simultaneously, the US dollar is weaponizing itself again. As the dollar strengthens, it puts immense pressure on every other currency for businesses in London, Tokyo, or New Delhi. A 72-hour surge in the dollar market makes their imports more expensive and their debt harder to pay. Watch the currency pairs closely. The tipping point is usually a 3-day trend that becomes month-long slide. So what does this mean for people like you and me? The next 72 hours aren't about panic. They are about positioning. If you are an investor, watch the $100 oil per barrel mark and the 10-year treasury yield. If you are a business owner, look at your supply chain exposure in the Middle East. And if you are just watching your personal finances, understand that the low inflation era we hoped for is being challenged by these 72 hours of geopolitical reality. The world moves fast, but the economy moves in cycles. We are at the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. We'll be monitoring every headline, every market tick, and every diplomatic cable as they come in. Make sure you subscribe in a window. This is very critical. Being 24-hour late is the same being absolutely wrong. So stay vigilant. The clock is running, and I'll see you in the next update, my friends. Before I wind up, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, do you know how do the world's most resilient CEOs maintain absolute focus while others crumble under pressure? It's a very big question. Therefore, in this video, we dive deep into Bhagavad Gita and try to answer this question. Bhagavad Gita offers a timeless blueprint for high-stake leadership, and we explore the concept of duality, the swinging pendulum between success and failure, and how it creates a delusion that clouds executive judgment. Let's go and discuss this further. Think about the last time your company landed a major contract or exceeded the quarterly projections. You felt on top of the world, right? Now think about the last time a key hire resigned or a product launch flopped. That sinking feeling in your gut, that's the CEO's pendulum. Most leaders spend their entire career swinging between these two poles, the euphoria of success and the anxiety of failure. We call it the grind, but the Bhagavad Gita calls it something else. Bhagavad Gita says duality. In chapter 7 and verse 28, Bhagwan Krishna offers a profound solution to this exhaustion. He speaks of a state where a leader is no longer a slave to these swings, a state of leadership beyond duality. And today we are going to break down this verse to see how the ancient wisdom can solve the most modern executive problems, which is the loss of focus. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Now let's look at the verse itself. It says, and the quote starts, those who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from dualities of delusion and serve me with determination. Quote close. To a modern CEO, the pious and sinful might sound like religious jargon, but let's translate them into executive language. Pious action is integrity. It's doing the right thing when no one is looking. It is building a company's culture on transparency rather than shortcuts. Sinful action is exploitation. It is the growth at all cost mindset that burn out employees and cut corners on quality. Bhagwan Krishna is saying that your past and your present integrity creates a clearing in your mind. When you lead with ethics, you remove the noise of guilt and fear. Only then you are freed from the dualities of the delusion. What is this delusion of duality? In the boardroom, duality is the belief that I am the last win. Alright? Or I am the last lose. When you are stuck in a duality, your decision making becomes reactive. If the market is up, we become overconfident and take reckless risk. If the market is down, we become paralyzed by fear and micromanage. This is the delusion. We believe these external fluctuations define our worth and our company's future. But Bhagavad Gita teaches that these are merely passing seasons. A leader stuck in duality is like a ship without a keel, tossed by every wave. A leader who has moved beyond duality is the lighthouse. The storm is still there, but the lighthouse doesn't move. The final part of the verse mentions that these leaders serve with great determination. This isn't the hustle culture, the kind of determination where you drink 10 coffees and work 20 hours a day. This is deep determination. It is the ability to stay committed to a 10-year vision even when the 10-month data looks grim. Why can't we do this? Because they aren't seeking worship from the market or the media. They have found a higher purpose for the CEO. This worship and service translate to serving the mission. When you are freed from the ego-driven need to win every single day, you gain a superpower, which is patience. You become capable of making the hard right decisions instead of easy wrong ones. So how do you apply Gita 7.28 tomorrow morning in your boardroom or in your office? There are a few steps that you need to take. First is the integrity audit. Look at your current project. Is there any sinful action, any shortcut or lack of transparency that is causing subconscious anxiety? Clean the slate to gain mental clarity. Number 2, label the duality. When a crisis hit, say to yourself, this is just the duality of the failure. Don't let it become your identity. Similarly, when you win, say, this is just the duality of success and stay leveled. Third is find your me. Krishna says, serve me. For you, identify the highest good your company can serve. Is it solving a problem? Helping customer? When you serve the mission rather than your ego, determination becomes effortless. The world doesn't need more CEOs who ride the emotional roller coaster of the stock market. We need leaders who are grounded in something deeper. By living a life of integrity, past and present, you earn the right to be calm. You earn the right to be clear. And most importantly, you earn the right to lead with determination that doesn't waver when the wind changes direction. So as you go back to your team today, remember, success and failure are just two sides of the same coin. Your job is to be the hand that holds the coin, not the coin itself. Lead with integrity, lead beyond duality. Friends, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me. If you have any questions, please feel free to send it across. Before I end this session, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Friends, a very big question that we want to address today is, are we alone or are we just being watched? For decades, we have scanned the stars for signals, but new speculation from SETI and leading astrophysicists suggest a chilling possibility. It is already too late to hide. While we search for them, humanity has spent the last century broadcasting our presence to the cosmos. In this video, we dive deep into the great silence and why the latest breakthrough in technosignatures and planetary direction suggests that any advanced civilizations within 100 light years likely to already know Earth is a home to an industrial civilization. Let us explore this further.
Long before modern medicine built its labs, ancient India nurtured a science of life that saw health as a harmony, healing as compassion. At the heart of this tradition stood Charak, the physician sage whose Charak Samhita became the cornerstone of the Ayurveda. He was not merely cataloging herbs or treatment, he was shaping a philosophy where the well-being of human, animals, and the environment were inseparably bounded. So let's find out more. In the grand tapestry of ancient Indian wisdom, Charak stands as one of the most luminous threads. A physician, a philosopher, and the scientist of the 2nd century CE, Charak is remembered as the principal architect of Ayurveda, the science of life. His magnum opus, the Charak Samhita, is not merely a medical text but a holistic philosophy of health, weaving together the mind, the body, and the spirit and the environment into a unified vision of well-being. Charak's genius lay in his insistence that health was not the absence of disease but the balance of forces. He articulated the Tridosha theory, which is called Vat, Pith and Kaph. That means the force of movement and the transformation and the structure derived from the element of the nature. So As he actually mentioned, it is as a governing principle of philosophy and physiology. So these are not mystic abstraction, but keen observations of how body respond to diet, climate, stress, and lifestyle. In his view, medicines were not about suppressing the symptoms, but restoring the harmony. His philosophy resonated deeply in 2026 when modern medicine increasingly embrace personalized care, preventive health, and integrative approach. So, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you are tuned in and which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So, moving forward, about Charak. Equally profound was Charak's emphasis on prevention. He prescribed a daily regime, that is dincharya, but that's what we call in Hindi. Then the second option he has given, seasonal routine, which is ritucharya, and a dietary discipline as the pillar of resilience. He warned against the excess, idleness, and the neglect of nature's rhythm. Today, as the humanity faces epidemics of lifestyle diseases, diabetic, hypertension, obesity, his preventive ethos feels prophetic. And the public health campaign echoes his wisdom. Lifestyle is a medicine and balance is survival. Charak also recognized the inseparability of human and animals. His text include reference to veterinary care, acknowledging that the health of domesticated animals are vital to agrarian societies. In 2026, his vision expand into the modern concept of health, which link human, animal, environmental well-being. Zoonotic diseases, climate-driven epidemics, and ethical debate about animal welfare remind us that the Charak's holistic worldview was centuries ahead of its time. The Charak Samhita catalogued hundreds of medical plants and minerals and formulations. Many of these are like turmeric, neem, ashwagandha. They are now globally recognized for their therapeutic properties. In 2026, the pharmacological and research continues to validate Charak's pharmacy and the kind of formation he actually written in his Charak Samhita, and offering sustainable alternative to synthetic drugs. His insistence on empirical observation and documentation of foreshadows the scientific method itself. Charak's relevance today extends beyond medicine into ethics and ecology. He demanded that physician embody compassion, humanity, and humility and discipline while treating patient as a whole being rather than simply a medical case. So in an era of AI diagnostics and robotic surgeries, his reminder that the healing is a moral duty is invaluable. Technology may augment skills, but empathy remains irreplaceable. So equally, Charak's ecological sensibility feels urgent in the age of climate crisis. He viewed human as inseparable from their environment and emphasizing harmony with nature. The pollution of air, water, and soil is not merely an environmental issue, it is a medical issue also. So his integrated worldview offers guidance for planetary health, reminding us that the well-being of human, animal cannot be divorced from well-being of Earth itself. Looking ahead, the scope of Charak's vision in 2026 and the beyond is vast. Ayurveda is no longer confined to India. It is a part of global movement towards the integrative medicines. AI-driven diagnostics, genetic engineering, and space medicine may dominate headlines, but Charak's principle of balance, prevention, compassion remain timeless. His legacy challenges to ensure that science serve a life, not merely a survival, that medicine heal not only body but communities and ecosystem and of course future. So Charak's voice carried across millennia remind us that health is not a conquest but a care, not a control but a balance. In the quiet wisdom of his verses, we find a compass for navigating the complexities of modern health, a call to remember that healing is both art and science, rooted in the respect of all lives, all living beings. So, when we talk about Charak's vision is never confined to the boundaries of his era. It was a philosophy meant to endure. In his teaching, health was not a privilege but a responsibility. Not a fleeting cure but a lifelong balance. He saw human, animal, and the environment as a thread of the same fabric, each dependent on other for the strength and the survival. The worldview resonated powerfully in 2026 when the challenges of climate change, zoonotic diseases, and the lifestyle disorder demand a holistic response. Ayurveda, as shaped by Charak, is not a relic of the past but a living system evolving along the side of modern science. It is its emphasis on prevention, compassion, and ecological harmony offers a compass for medicine in the age of AI. Biotechnology, planetary health, as researchers validate ancient formulations and integrate them with the cutting edge therapies, Charak's legacy continues to expand and bridging the tradition, innovation, humanity, and nature. So, again, we will actually understand the story of Charak is ultimately a reminder. A healing is not a conquest, but definitely a care. And in the pulse of Ayurveda, we hear his enduring message that well-being is not only for today, but for tomorrow, and for all the life that walks, flies, swim, and breathe beneath the same sky. So we have come to the end of this video. Please like and subscribe our channel. Look forward for your comments on this topic. We'll see you in the next one. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Twilight chambers of bat caves. Science listens to the whispers carried on wings. Each flutter is more than a movement. It is a messenger of hidden viral world evolving in silence yet capable of reshaping human history. These caves are ecological crossroads where bats, viruses, and environment is intertwined in a delicate balance. Deep inside the humid darkness of Bat Cave, science finds a living lab where the ecology, virology, and human destiny intersects. Bats, with their extraordinary diversity and a global distribution, are reservoir of countless viruses, many harmless within their host, but some with the potential to leap across the species boundaries. The study of virus ecology in these caves is not simply an exercise in curiosity. It is a frontline defense against the next pandemic. Researchers entering these caves are greeted by a symphony of wings and echoes, but beneath the spectacle lies a complex web of interactions. Viruses circulate among bat population through social grooming, shared routes, and feeding habits. Each colony becomes a microcosm of viral exchange, and where the genetic material mutates, recombines, and occasionally acquired the traits that makes cross-species infection possible. By observing these dynamics, scientists gained predictive insight into zoonotic spillover, the moment when the pathogen jumps from animals to humans. And these recent fieldwork has revealed that a spillover risk is not random. It is shaped by ecological pressures, food scarcity, or maybe driving bats closer to human settlement, seasonal migration, concentration of the population, and environmental stress, weakening the immune defenses. So in these caves, near agricultural zone, bats often we find them in fruit orchids and leaving salivas, droppings that can actually contaminate the produce. So such ecological bridges create pathways for virus to escape from their natural host. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us in determining the reach of our channel. So moving forward on this interesting topic, the bat cave thus become a metaphor for a porous boundary between wilder habitat and the civilization. By squeezing viral genomes and collecting them from the salivas and other material which is like droppings, scientists can map evolutionary trajectories, and identifying which strain show sign of adapting to mammalian cells beyond bats. So these molecular fingerprints act as warning signals, allowing public health agencies to monitor the hot spots before outbreak occurs. So equally important are the behavioral observations. Like high definition footage of bat feeding, clustering, and interacting with other species reveals how viral transmission is facilitated. So in one study, the camera captures bats feasting alongside with the primates and rodent, creating a shared ecological niche where the pathogen could easily cross species line. And such insight underscores that the spillover is not merely a biological event, but an ecological one woven into a fabric of shared habitat. The implication definitely ripple outward. So understand a virus ecology in bat's cave inform the predictive model that integrates climate change, and deforestations and urban expansion, which is definitely on high at the moment. Now, as forests shrink, the caves are disturbed. Bats are forced into a closer contact with human, amplifying the risk. So, by stimulating these scenarios, scientists can forecast where and when spillover is most likely and guiding surveillance and intervention strategies. They can work on that, these kind of strategies. Yet, the narratives is not one of the fear alone. So, bats are vital pollinators, you know that, and insect controllers. So essential to definitely essential to ecosystem. Now, when we demonize them and would be counterproductive. So instead, the lesson from the virus ecology is balance, protecting bat habitats, reduce stress on population, thereby lowering the viral shedding and minimizing the human exposure. So conservation becomes a form of public health. So in a broader arc of science, the bat caves is a reminder that pandemic are ecological phenomena before they become actually a medical crisis. So by listening to these whispers of wings in the dark, humanity gains foresight into the invisible currents of viral evolution. The caves teaches us that the vigilance must be ecological and behavioral all at once. So, thus, the study of virus ecology is in the bat's cave is not confined to academic genres. It is a story of anticipation, resilience, and interconnectionness. Now, these insight helps predict zoonotics spillover risk, offering humanity a chance to act before the next leap occurs. So, in the shadow of the caves, science illuminates pathway of prevention and turning potential catastrophe into knowledge and knowledge into preparedness. From the echoes in the dark to insight in the lab, the bat caves teaches vigilance. So, and protecting habitats, decoding viral patterns, and respecting the ecological balance are not just act of science; they are act of survival. Now, the bat cave, once seen as a mysterious refuge of night, now stands revealed or as a vital classroom for humanity. Now, within these shadows, viruses evolve, adapt, and remind us of the fragile thread that binds ecosystem together. So by decoding these hidden exchanges, the scientists are not merely studying the bats, they are safeguarding the future of human health. The lesson is very clear. Pandemics are born at the intersection of ecology and society, and the prevention begins with the understanding. Protecting habitats, respecting biodiversity, and listening to the signals of nature are the act of foresight. So, in the quiet echoes of caves, we find both warning and wisdom. An urgent call to balance our relationship with the natural world before the next leap occurs. So, we would look forward your comments, what you think about this subject. And we have come to the end. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe our channel. See you in the next one. But before we end this video, a few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Hello, friends. What happens when the world's most powerful firm trade their algorithm for ancient philosophy? We are dissecting the high-stake friction between ruthless efficiency and the human need for meaning. It is July 2026 and the era of silicon-driven productivity has hit a wall. To survive this year's market shift, the world's most powerful CEO are bridging the gap between high-tech metrics and the human-centric wisdom. Discover how redefining modern leadership through the purpose rather than mere data points is the only way to build a future-proof corporate culture. So let's find out more about this. In the early years of a digital revolution, algorithms were hailed as the ultimate arbiter of efficiency. They promised precision, speed, and the elimination of human error. Corporations invested billions in predictive analytics, machine learning model, and automated decision system, and they were convinced that the future of strategy lay in the cold logic of computation. Yet, as the dust of technological euphoria settles, a new reality is emerging, and that is human capital. The creativity, the intuitions, and the adaptability of people is outperforming the algorithm in the most critical arena of strategy. The shift begins with the recognition that the algorithm, while powerful, are bounded by the data they consume. They excel at pattern recognition but flatter when they're confronted with the ambiguity and or novelty or maybe ethical complexity. Human being, by contrast, thrives in uncertainty. So a strategy who is in navigating the volatile market, geopolitical upheavals, and cultural shift cannot rely solely on historical data sets. So they must interpret the signals, the imagine possibilities, and craft narratives that inspire collective actions. So this is where the human capital assert its superiority. So in the ability to connect dots that machine cannot see or maybe and to imbue the decision with the meaning that algorithm cannot generate. So consider the realm of leadership. Algorithm can optimize supply chain or forecast consumers' behavior, but they cannot galvanize a workforce around a shared vision. So leaders who harness the empathy, storytelling, and the moral conviction create momentum that no machine can replicate. So the pandemic underscored this truth. Organizations that thrived were not those with the most sophisticated predictive model, but those whose leader communicated trust, adapted policies with compassion, and empowered the team to innovate under pressure. So human capital became the decisive factor in resilience. Creativity is another domain where the human outperform. Algorithm can remix existing ideas. But genuine breakthrough, whether in art or in science or in entrepreneurship, spring from the human capacity to dream beyond constraints. So the innovation of the electric car, or the rise of social enterprise, or the fusion of ancient wisdom with modern leadership practices are not a product of algorithm, and it cannot be calculated by algorithms. So they are the fruit of imagination, risk taking, and the courage that defy conventions. So in this sense, human capital is not merely outperforming our algorithm. It is also redefining the very boundaries of progress. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in, and this will definitely help us to determine the reach of our channel. So now continue with our discussion. Now comes the kind of a question of ethics and value. Now, ethics and value further highlight the limit of automation. Algorithm can recommend action, but they cannot actually find out the moral consequences. Should a company prioritize the profit over sustainability? Should a government deploy surveillance technology at the cost of privacy? So these are not computational questions, they are human dilemmas. The strategy shift acknowledge the decision of consequences must be grounded in values, and only human judgment can navigate the terrain of responsibility. So in fact, the most forward-thinking organizations are embedding the ethic officers, diversity actually companion. They are appointing diversity companions and cultural stewards into their strategy team role that algorithm cannot fulfill. So the irony is that the triumph of human capital does not diminish the importance of algorithm. Instead, it reframes them as a tool rather than the masters. So algorithm provide insight, but human decide which insight matters. Machine accelerate the processes, but human determines the decision of continue with that kind of way or decision, maybe a direction of travel. The strategy shift is not about rejecting a technology. It is about reclaiming the agency. It is about recognizing that the ultimate competitive advantage lies not in faster computation, but in a deeper connection between people, ideas, and value. This shift also signals a new era of organizational design. Companies are investing less in rigid automation and more in cultivating the adaptive talent. So training programs emphasize critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and cross-disciplinary collaboration. So recruitment strategies giving priority to diverse of perspective, knowing the innovation that flourishes at the intersection of differences. So the workplace is being reimagined as a lab of human potential, where algorithms serve as an assistant, not as the architects. So the implication ripple outward. In education, curriculum are evolving to balance digital literacy with humanistic inquiry. In governance, the policymakers are learning that the algorithm regulation must be tempered by public dialogue and ethical foresight. So in culture, the stories that resonate are not those of machine conquering the humanity, but the humanity reclaiming the role as an author of destiny. So the narrative is shifting from human versus algorithm to human beyond algorithm. So ultimately, the strategy shift is a reminder of that what makes us as a human. So algorithm can calculate, but they cannot care. They can predict, but they cannot hope. So they can optimize, but they cannot dream. So human capital outperform because it transcends the measurable. It brings to strategy that intangible forces of imagination, empathy, and the moral courage. And in the world where the uncertainty is only a certainty, and those forces are not luxuries but necessities. The future strategy then is not a contest between human and machine. It is a partnership in which the algorithm handles the mechanics while the human shapes the meaning. The organization that will lead tomorrow are those that understands this balance. So the invest in the technology, but more importantly, invest in people. For in the end, it is human capital, that living, breathing, dreaming essence of humanity that outperform the outlast and outshine the algorithm. So lesson of this era is very clear. Algorithm may calculate the probabilities, but it is human capital that defines possibilities. Strategies are no longer about who has the fastest machine or the deepest data set. It is about who can imagine, inspire, and adapt. So the organization that will endure are those that treat technology as an ally, not as a replacement, a place where the greatest investment in people. For in the grand contest between code and consciousness, it is the human spirit, curious, creative, and courageous, that ultimately outperform. So future belongs not to the algorithm but to the strategies who knows how to wield it while never surrendering the irreplaceable power of human judgment. So what do you think about this? And please post your comments on this topic. Also, kindly like and subscribe our channel. So we'll meet in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye.
In the world of high-stake business, we talk about freedom. We in fact talk a lot about freedom and market freedom, financial freedom, the freedom to innovate. But for the modern CEO, the reality is often opposite. You are tethered to the stock ticker, bound by the expectations of the board, and often a prisoner to your own decision-making loop. We call this the invisible ceiling, the point where your intelligence and your mind is too cluttered with the noise of the trade. But what if there was a way to achieve a state of strategic liberation, a state where you operate with absolute clarity, where your decisions are not reactive but visionary? Over 7,000 years ago, a roadmap for this exact state was laid out in a dialogue on a battlefield. Today we are looking at Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 verse 17. It's not just a spiritual mantra, it is the ultimate executive manual for the 21st century. Those whose intellect is merged in Him, whose mind is one with Him, who are established in Him, for whom He is the supreme goal, their sins being dispelled by knowledge, go to the state from which there is no return. Well, this is a quote and translated into English. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel, and I will also know who's watching and who's not. Now let's proceed further. To a CEO, this might sound like a religious abstraction, but let's translate this into leadership language. The words identify 4 pillars of focus. First, intellect. What is the intellect? Your strategic analytical power. Next, mind. Your emotional intelligence and focus. Third, establishment. your core values and conviction. Fourth, the goal, your ultimate vision or the North Star. So the Gita suggests that when these four are aligned with supreme truth, or in the business terms, a transcendental purpose, you reach a state of no return. In business, that is a definition of the legacy. One of the most striking phrases in this verse is the sin destroyed by knowledge. In a boardroom, we don't use the word sin, but we do use word error. In this context, sin refers to the mental impurities that could cloud judgment. Ego, attachment to a specific outcome, fear of failure, cognitive biases, etc. Think of these as the cognitive debt. Every time you make a decision based on your ego rather than data point, you base on how we have always done it rather than the truth. You accrue debt. This debt slows your company down and it creates a friction. So the Gita says this debt is destroyed by knowledge, not just information. We have plenty of that, but realized knowledge is missing here. This is the ability to see the market, your competitor, your own team exactly as they are, without distorting the lens of your own desires or fears. When knowledge destroys error, liberation begins. The verse ends with bold promise, the path of liberation where there is no rebirth. The spiritual terms, this is the moksha. In the boardroom, this is the high performance flow state. No rebirth means you stop repeating the same mistake. Have you ever noticed that how some companies seems to hit the same wall every 5 years? The same culture issues, the same product, market fit struggles, the same leadership turnover, and that is a cycle of rebirth in business. The strategic liberation means moving past those cycles. It means your leadership has evolved to a point where you are no longer a manager of crisis, but a creator of realities. You have reached a level of clarity where you don't have to go back to the old ways of struggling. You are no longer reacting to the waves. You are the ocean yourself. So how does you apply Gita 5.17 on a Tuesday morning before a merger or a product launch? I have few tips for you. First, fix the intellect. Start your day by detaching from the outcome. Focus entirely on the integrity of the strategy. Next, dissolve your ego. Ask yourself, am I making this choice to be right or to be effective? If it is to be right, that's the sin. And the verse mentions it very clearly. Let knowledge dissolve it. Right? Next is establish the North Star. Ensure your supreme goal isn't just this quarter's earning, but a purpose that provides value to the world. When your goal is supreme, your stamina becomes infinite. True leadership isn't about control, it's about alignment. Chapter 5, verse 17 of Bhagavad Gita teaches us that when our intellect, mind, and faith are fixed on a truth higher than our own, we become liberated from the friction of the corporate world. We move beyond the boardroom. We stop being driven by the fear of loss and start being pulled by the power of vision. This is the strategic liberation. That is the path of the sage leader. The question isn't whether you can afford to learn these lessons. The question is, can you afford the rebirth of your past mistakes, and what happens if you don't? My name is CK, and this has been a look into the timeless wisdom of Gita for the modern executive. Thanks for joining live. Thanks for listening. Before we move on to the next video, a few words about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends and namaskaram. What would happen to the global economy if the humans suddenly lost the ability to lie? Very important question, and therefore in this video we dive into the fascinating thought experiment. If honesty became the only option for every human on earth, which major industries would collapse first? From high-stake advertising to political campaigning to the complex world of corporate PR and everyday sales, we analyze the business model that depends entirely on the white lie. Let's go. Imagine waking up tomorrow in a world where white lies are physically impossible. You go to work, your boss asks, "How was your weekend?" And instead of the polite, "It was great, thanks," you are compelled to say, "It was miserable. I spent the whole time stressed about this presentation." Now imagine that the same filter or lack of thereof applied to every transactions, every advertisement and every political speech on the planet. Today we are embarking on a thought experiment. If the humanity suddenly lost the ability to deceive, which industries would crumble under the weight of the absolute truth? We are looking at the sectors built on foundation of the lie. First, let's look at the titan of the industry that might face the swiftest collapse, which is advertising. Market is often described as the art of persuasion, but let's be honest, it frequently relies on misleading implications. Think about the weight loss supplement that claims this pill will help you shed pounds. Is it a lie? Technically, it might work for one person, but implies a result that isn't a universal result or a guaranteed result. If human couldn't lie, ads would have to become terrifyingly literal. No more the best coffee in the world. Just this coffee is produced by a factory that pays its employee minimum wage and use medium quality beans. The industry spent billions on creating a vibe rather than conveying the data. If we strip away the aspirational imagery and exaggerated promises, the entire multi-trillion-dollar advertising machine would grind to an halt. Then there is the classical industry, which is used as a car salesman. We have all heard the stories about the cars that is in perfect condition, right up until the moment it leaves the garage. This industry relies on information asymmetry, the idea that the seller knows the flaws and the buyer doesn't. If a salesperson was suddenly incapable of omitting the fact that the transmission is failing or that the vehicle was in floods, business model would implode instantly. It's not just cars. It's any business where the seller holds more information than the buyer. In a world of absolute truth, buyer beware disappears, replaced by seller forced to confess. Without the ability to bury the bad news, these transactions would become either brutally honest or non-existent. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Now, let's talk about the industry that thrive on the spin, which is politics. The public relation is in many ways the art of controlling a narrative by selecting which truth to be highlighted and which to bury. If the politicians are incapable of lying, the standard campaign trail would disappear overnight. Imagine a debate where a candidate is asked, "How will you fund the tax cut?" And they are forced to say, "I have no idea. I'm just saying this to get your vote." The political apparatus, which is built on campaign promise that was rarely kept, would require a total restructuring. It wouldn't just be very embarrassing, it would be immediate crisis of legitimacy for governments worldwide. We have to touch on the corporate office too. The white lie is the grease that keeps the professional engine running. Your presentation was great. I will get right on that. Or it's not you, it is the company restructuring. Research shows that maintaining these lies take immense mental and physical energy. While honesty is generally better for our health and stress levels, our professional culture is built on a layer of social cushioning. If that layer vanishes, the HR department would be overwhelmed and the professional relationships would either shatter or become purely fictional, right? The office wouldn't be necessarily go bankrupt, but the culture of modern workplace would be unrecognizable. So if the marketing, used car sales, political campaigning are in the danger zone, what would survive then? The industry is based on hard facts and tangible value: engineering, scientific research, and logistics. When you are building a bridge, you cannot spin the structural integrity. The truth is forced upon by the gravity itself. The company would survive and thrive are the ones that have been selling truth all along. In a world without lies, transparency becomes the ultimate competitive advantage. Ultimately, a world without lie would be a world of radical efficiency, but it would also be incredibly painful. We rely on these little lies to maintain our social fabric. So, what do you think, friends? If we had to choose one industry to wipe off from the map of the earth, would it be advertisers, the politicians, or the car salesmen? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into what if of our world. Thanks for watching. I will catch you again very soon.
Friends, we all know that the stars, when they run out of their fuel, explodes into a supernova, especially the kind of star which are much larger than sun. They have to be larger than sun in order to become a supernova. However, there are certain stars which don't simply explode, they turn into a hot blowtorch. And this is a very specific phenomena, and to understand this type of supernova we will take a deep dive into high energy astrophysics, and we will examine this phenomena which is known as hotter than hell, also known in scientific term as the fast blue optical transient, and also known as the blue death. What is this phenomena? Let us explore this further.
In the dawn of civilization, when society sought order amid the chaos of human desire and duty, a sage named Manu stepped forward to weave the law into life. His vision was not confined to ritual or governance alone. It reached into the intimate bond between men and women, shaping the very foundation of family and societies. Manu's world became more than a rule. They were a mirror of cosmic balance, binding love, duty, and hierarchy into the framework that endured for centuries. Like Hammurabi in Babylon or Confucius in China, Manu's legacy reminds us that across culture, sages and lawgivers sought to tame the most powerful force of all, that is relationship between men and women. And in doing so, they etched the blueprint of civilization itself. So let's find out more about this. In the tapestry of ancient Indian thought, few figures loom as prominently as Manu, the legendary lawgiver whose name is inseparably tied to the Manusmriti, a text that sought to codify the rhythm of human life. Manu was not merely a sage, he was envisioned as the archetypal legislator, the one who translated cosmic order into social norms. His laws, particularly those governing the relationship between men and women, revealed both the aspiration and the anxieties of civilization, striving to balance duty, morality, and hierarchy. So the Manusmriti present marriage not as a private contract, but as a sacred institution woven into the fabric of dharma, which is righteousness. Manu's vision of gender relationship was deeply rooted in the idea of complement the men and women, and the men and women were seen as two halves of cosmic order, cosmic as a whole, each with a distinct role that together sustained society. The woman was reserved as the bearer of lineage, a guardian of household sanctity, and the embodiment of nurturing power. The man, in return, was tasked with the protection, provision, and pursuit of spiritual and worldly duties. In this framework, the harmony was achieved not through the equality in the modern sense, but through the balance which fulfilling a role that maintained cosmic and social order. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. That will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So moving forward on this topic, yet the Manu's law also reflect the patriarchal structure of his time. Through Manu actually elevated the feminine principle in symbolic way. He declared that where the women are honored, the god rejoice, and where they are dishonored, all right loses their efficacy. And sometimes this kind of few restrictions that actually become paradox when we talk about the modern times, and it also maybe actually resulted in the paradox of ancient gender norms. So the influence of Manu's vision extended far beyond domestic life by codifying rules of marriage, inheritance, and the conduct. He shaped the very architecture of society. His laws became a reference point for centuries, debated and adopted and sometimes restricted, but never ignored. So they provided a framework for order in the world where the oral tradition and the ritual practice needed the anchor to written codes or a written duty mentioning. So parallel to Manu can be found across the civilization. In the West, figures like Hammurabi of Babylon emerged as counterpart, Hammurabi's famous code inscribed on stone also sought to regulate family life, property, and justice, embodying the patriarchal norms within the broader vision of social stability. In the ancient Rome, the 12 table performed the similar function, defining the rights and duties of men and women within the civil order. In China, Confucian's teaching, though not codified in the same way, established the enduring principle of family hierarchy and gender role, and emphasizing the kind of all the duties, and at the same time it also mentioned the subordination of women within the household. So, like of these lawgivers or traditions, when we talk about these distinct codings, like Manu, they also sought to anchor the society in a vision of order that linked cosmic or moral principle with everyday relationship. But what makes Manu distinctive is the spiritual dimension he infused into law. For him, the regulation of men and women relationship was not merely a pragmatic, but a sacred, a reflection of dharma itself. So marriage was a right, not a contract. The household was a microcosm of the universe, and the woman as its center was both revered and bound by duty. This intertwined of the law, ritual, and cosmology gave Manu's vision a depth that continues to provoke reflection. So in the modern age, Manu's legacy is contested, sometimes criticized, but critics highlight the restrictive aspect of his law, especially regarding women's autonomy, while others emphasize the symbolic reverence and the attempt to harmonize the social life with cosmic principle. His parallel Hammurabi, Confucius, and Roman jurist reminded us that every civilization has grappled with the same challenge: how to regulate human relationship in a way that preserve the order, morality, and continuity. The answer differs, but the impulse is universal. Ultimately, Manu stands as both a product of his time, a figure of enduring influence, and his law revealed the ancient Indian attempt to weave the gender relation into a larger fabric of dharma, that is, righteousness, balancing reverence with restriction and symbolism with social control. In his vision, the relationship between men and women was not merely personal but civilizational, a cornerstone upon which the base of the society rested. And in this vision, we glimpse the perennial human quest to align the intimate bond of a family with the vast order of cosmos. So, Manu's vision of men and women was not merely about domestic order. It was about aligning human bonds with cosmic laws. His words inscribed in the Manusmriti actually became both revered and contested, shaping the centuries of thought on duty, family, and society. Like Hammurabi's stone tablet or Confucius' teaching, Manu's legacy reminds us that every civilization sought to anchor relationship in principle larger than themselves. His laws may reflect the paradox of their ages, but reverence entwined with restriction, but at the same time they endure as a testament to humanity's timeless quest for harmony between love, duty, and greater order of the world. So, we have come to the end of this discussion. Please mention or write your comments on this topic. Also, please like and subscribe our channel. Look forward for your comments and see you in the next one. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends and Namaskaram. Oil India Limited has officially reported that there is a presence of natural gas in the Andaman offshore basin, a major milestone in the India's quest for energy security. Therefore, in this video, we break down what this discovery means for India's energy future, the significance of the Samudra Manthan mission, and whether the Andaman region could become a game changer for the domestic fuel production. Let's go. Hello everyone, I am CK and welcome back to Akulmach Business. Today we are looking at the recent development that could fundamentally reshape India's energy landscape. For years, the geologists have pointed towards the Andaman Basin as a hidden treasure chest. Well, the wait might be over. State-run Oil India Limited has just reported a significant natural gas discovery in the Andaman offshore region. This isn't just a minor finding, it's being hailed as the ocean of energy opportunity. Today we are going to look at the Sri Vijayapuram 3 well. It's a well basically deep in the ocean near the Andamans, and why this matters for your energy bill and how this fits into India's broader Samudra Manthan mission. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's get into the technicals. Oil India drilled the Sri Vijayapuram 3, an exploratory well about 15 kilometers off the east coast of Andaman Islands. At a water depth of 355 meters, they reached the Econ formation at over 1900 meters deep. What is the result? The result is continuous gas flaring during the initial production testing. This is the smoking gun of the oil and gas world. It confirms that the reservoir isn't just a theory, it's an active working petroleum system. Remarkably, this is is the second positive find of just 3 exploratory wells drilled at the specific campaign. The odds are looking better than ever. So the big question is, why now? This discovery is a direct outcome of the Samudra Manthan mission, the National Deep Water Exploration Mission announced by Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi on the Independence Day in 2025. The goal is very clear: to move beyond shallow water and unlock the true hydrocarbon potential of India, which is deep water offshore basins. Oil India isn't going at this alone. They are building a strategy to coordinate with global deep water heavyweights. Think of names like Petrobras, Total Energies, BP, Shell, and ExxonMobil. This is about to bring the world-class technology to our own backyard, and this is our own Guyana movement. You might remember how massive offshore discovery transformed Guyana's economy. While we aren't there yet, the comparison is being made for a reason. Strategically, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are sitting right next to the Strait of Malacca, one of the world's most critical maritime trade and energy corridors. Beyond just finding gas, establishing a thriving energy industry here strengthened India's economy and strategic presence in the eastern Indian Ocean. It's about energy resilience in a world where supply chains are becoming increasingly volatile. Now, a reality check for our viewers. We are in the discovery phase, not in the production phase. Oil India is currently collecting samples to assess composition, calorific values, and isotopic signatures to understand exactly how this gas was formed. The next steps involve extensive appraisal drilling to determine if there are reserves and the reserves hold enough material so that drilling is commercially viable. It is a long road, but with the consecutive discoveries, the confidence in this basin is growing by the day. India import about 85% of its crude oil as well as the gas. The massive chunk of the natural gas also comes from the oil producing nations, which is OPEC countries. Every bit of domestic production helps protecting us from the global price shock. It's a great news. So friends, if you are enthusiastic about knowing more, please drop a comment and I will catch you again in the next one. नमस्कारम दोस्तों, आप सबका स्वागत है। और हर रोज की तरह हम भगवान की पूजा करेंगे अपना दिन शुरू करने से पहले। आज शुक्रवार है, तो आज का दिन तो लक्ष्मी जी को समर्पित होता है। तो आज हम अपनी पूजा करेंगे। आप हमारे साथ जुड़िए और हमारे साथ जुड़ के आप हमारे को फॉलो करें, तो आपको इससे काफ़ी फ़ायदा होगा और लक्ष्मी जी आप पे प्रसन्न रहेंगी। तो एक छोटा सा मंत्र है जो सिर्फ 11 दफ़ा करना है। आपको पता है कि मैं इस काउंटर का इस्तेमाल करता हूँ। आप जैसे मर्जी करना चाहें कर सकते हैं, लेकिन 11 दफ़ा करें रोज अपना कार्य शुरू करने से पहले। तो ठीक है जी, हाथ जोड़ लीजिए और लक्ष्मी जी का नमन करिए और मेरे साथ रिसाइट करिए। ओम श्री ह्रीं क्लीं श्री सिद्ध लक्ष्मी नमः। 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 ओम ह्रीं क्लीं श्री सिद्ध लक्ष्मी नमः। ओम श्री ह्रीं क्लीं श्री सिद्ध लक्ष्मी नमः। ओम ह्रीं क्लीं श्री सिद्ध लक्ष्मी नमः। ओम ह्रीं क्लीं श्री सिद्ध लक्ष्मी नमः। हमारी पूजा समाप्त हुई और हाथ जोड़ के आप नमन कर लीजिए, लक्ष्मी जी का ध्यान कर लीजिए। तो दोस्तों, आपका शुभ रहे आपका दिन और मैं जल्दी ही मिलता हूँ दूसरे वीडियो में। इस वीडियो में आपसे विदा लेता हूँ। नमस्कार। Hello friends and namaskaram. Let me ask you, is your leadership built to last or is it stuck in a loop? In this episode of Beyond the Boardroom, we dive deep into the timeless wisdom of Bhagavad Gita to uncover a startling truth for the modern day leaders, which is the cycle of rebirth and death, etc. In the material world, even the highest achiever in the Brahmalok, which is the pinnacle of success, are subject to the laws of time and repetition. For CEO, this rebirth manifests as grueling cycle of market disruption, product obsolescence, and the constant need to reinvent the wheel. Let us discuss this further. What happens the day after you reach the top? Every CEO has a Brahmalok moment. It is the quarter where the revenue hit a record high, the IPO is a smash, or the boardroom gives you a standing ovation. In the world of business, we call it having arrived. But there is a quiet anxiety that follows that peak. It is the realization that tomorrow the clock reset to zero. The market changes. The competitor emerges from the garage in the Silicon Valley. Your top talent get headhunted. Suddenly you aren't the king of the mountain anymore. You're back in the trenches fighting for the survival. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 16, Bhagwan Krishna delivers a sobering truth to Arjun that every modern leader needs to hear. And the quote starts, O Arjun, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. And the quote close. Today we are going beyond the boardroom. We are going to explore why every CEO is trapped in a cycle of rebirth and how to finally break it. Friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Now let's proceed further. In Vedic cosmology, which is the Brahmalok, is the highest point of the material universe. It is the peak of pleasure, power, and longevity. But Bhagwan Krishna wants that even there you aren't safe from the cycle. In business terms, Brahmalok is the S&P 500. It is a market leader status. But look at the history. How many Brahmalok companies from year 2000 are still relevant today? When Bhagwan Krishna speaks of repeated birth and death, he isn't just talking about the reincarnation in the biological sense. For a CEO, death is the obsolescence of your business model. Birth is the grueling process of starting over, rebranding, and fighting for a new market share. If you are leading solely for material metrics, share price, ego, or dominance, you are singing up for an eternal loop of stress. You are stuck in the sansar of the marketplace. You win, you lose, you die, you start again. It is exhausting. So why do we face this cycle? Because the material world, and by extension the global economy, is in a state of constant flux. Think about the rebirth of famous leaders. Steve Jobs faced death when he was ousted from Apple, only to be reborn at Next and Pixar, eventually returning to save Apple again. Netflix died as a DVD by mail company to be reborn as a streaming giant, and is now being reborn again as a content studio. Most CEOs think the goal is to survive the current life of their company. But the Gita teaches us that as long as you are attached to the result of the material world, you will always be forced back into the cycle. If your identity is tied to being the CEO of X, X meaning XYZ, what happens when X is disrupted? You suffer a professional death. You are then forced into a rebirth, a new startup, a new role, carrying the same anxiety and the same attachment as before. So what is the alternative here? Krishna says only when you reach my spiritual abode, you never take birth again. In a leadership context, the spiritual abode is a state of transcendental leadership. It is leading from a place of purpose that is independent of market cycles. How does a CEO reaches the abode and stop painful cycle of rebirth? There are certain things you can do. For instance, detach from the fruit. Focus on dharma. If your goal is just the fruit, which is exit strategy or bonus, you are at the mercy of the cycle. If your goal is your dharma, which is unique duty to provide value to society, you remain steady whether the market is up or down. Next is continuous learning as the spiritual practice. Rebirth happens when you stop growing. In Gita, the solution to the cycle is the knowledge. A CEO who views their role as a journey of constant learning never truly dies in the market. They simply evolve, building a legacy, not just a ledger. Material success is temporary. A spiritual abode in business is the culture you build and live to remove any obstacles in your colleagues' lives or customers' lives, etc. There are only things that don't take birth again in the form of stress, and they become your permanent legacy. When you lead from this higher perspective, the cycle of rebirth stops being a threat and starts being a tool. You no longer fear the death of a product because you aren't attached to it. You no longer fear the market crash because your worth isn't tied to your net worth. You have reached a spiritual abode of equanimity. Imagine a boardroom where decisions aren't made out of fear of a corporate death, but out of commitment to the eternal principle of integrity, service, and wisdom. That is a company that transcend into this kind of a cycle. And that is a leader who has reached the highest planet and decided to go even further. Every CEO obsesses over their exit strategy, but Bhagwan Krishna is offering you the ultimate exit strategy, an exit from the cycle of anxiety, repetition, and temporary success. The next time you face a crisis, a death that is a metaphor of a project or rebirth of a competitor, remember chapter 8 and verse 16. Don't just aim from Brahmalok. Don't just aim for the top of the material world. Aim for the abode. Lead with purpose that time cannot touch. Because when you lead for something eternal, you never have to start from zero again. So friends, what do you think about this lesson? If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send it across. Thank you for joining live, and now go out and take lead with wisdom of Gita. Right. So before I part ways today, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Sun is not silent. It speaks in the burst of invisible thunder. For centuries, we have seen its flare and storm, but Parker's solar probe has now tuned our ears to a deeper frequency. Hidden within the blazing corona, magnetic switchbacks snaps like a cosmic whisper, unleashing radio waves that ripple across the solar system. And these bursts are more than a whisper of plasma. They are sun's coded signals carrying secrets of its magnetic heart and warning of storm yet to come. In this revelation, Parker has transformed our star from blazing sphere into a storyteller. Its switchbacks composing a hidden symphony of light and sound. Let's find out more about this. The sun, our nearest star, has always been a restless giant. Its surface boiling with plasma, its atmosphere alive with storms. For centuries, astronauts have watched solar flares and coronal mass ejection ripple outward, sometimes striking Earth with a magnetic tempest. Yet beneath its familiar drama lies subtle mysteries, whisper of radio waves, flickers of magnet turbulence, and that only the most daring spacecraft can unveil. The Parker Solar Probe, humanity's closest emissary to the sun, has now peeled back another layer of its enigma, revealing hidden magnetic switchbacks that gives rise to solar radio bursts. So, radio bursts are sudden and outpouring of electromagnetic energies and streaming across space like invisible thunderclap. They are often triggered when the charged particle accelerate along the magnetic field lines, releasing energy in the form of radio waves. For decades, scientists knew these bursts existed, but their precise origin remained elusive. Were they born in the corona tangled loop? Did they emerge from the shock wave racing through the solar wind? But now Parker Solar Probe diving deep and close to the sun's surface has provided the most intimate clues yet. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine reach of our channel. So going forward, as the probe skimmed through the solar atmosphere, its instruments detected abrupt revelation, abrupt uprising the magnetic field. Switchbacks like a king in the garden hose. These switchbacks are not gentle bend, but actually sharp zigzags, flipping the direction of the magnetic field from a brief moment before snapping back. Each switchback carries plasma along with it, accelerating particles and steering the turbulence. The new data suggests that these magnetic switchbacks are fertile ground for radio burst. Miniature accelerator that hurl electrons into spiral, producing the radio signal that astronomers detect across the solar system. So these insight reshapes our understanding and space weather. Now going forward, the discovery is definitely profound. It's linked with the two previously disconnected phenomena. On one hand, switchbacks were known as the oddities in the solar wind, puzzling features that hint at the chaotic dynamics near the sun. And on the other hand, radio bursts were catalogued as a distinct emissions useful for diagnosing the solar storm, but poorly understood in origin. The Parker finding weave them together, and the switchbacks are now not mere curiosities, but engine of radio emission, shaping the very soundtrack of sun's activity. So radio bursts are not just academic curiosity, as we have already mentioned. They are interface or with the communication, navigation system, even the spacecraft operations. By tracing them back to the magnetic switchbacks, scientists gain predictive power. If switchbacks can be mapped and modeled, then the radio burst and the storm they create can be anticipated with a greater accuracy. So in essence, Parker has given us a new diagnostic tool, a way to listen to the sun's magnetic heartbeat and foresee its disruptive pulse. The implication extend beyond Earth. Radio bursts ripple through the heliosphere and the vast bubble of solar influence that envelops the planet. They may play a role for accelerating cosmic rays, shaping a planetary magneto atmosphere, and even the influencing the chemistry of atmosphere. So for Mars, with its magnetic shield, such burst could be particularly consequential and steering its upper atmosphere and affecting its future. Human explorer, and that is a good info data for the human explorer and the astronauts. For distinct spacecraft, understanding radio burst is vital for shielding electronics and maintaining communication link. And this is also a poetic dimension to its discovery. The sun, often imagined as a blazing sphere of light, now reveals itself as a symphony of invisible signals. Its magnetic field twists and snaps like violin strings, producing radio notes that echo across the space. So Parker's solar probe, braving the furnace of Corona, has become our ear pressing against the star, catching whispers that were once lost in the cosmic din. Each switchback is a stanza, each burst is a refrain, and composing a hidden music of the sun. So looking ahead, scientists will combine Parker's data with observation from other missions such as Solar Orbiter to build a full picture. Together, these spacecraft will triangulate the origin of burst and map the geometry of switchbacks and refine model of solar wind. So the ultimate goal is not to understand the sun, but to live safely within its influence. As humanity ventures deeper into space, towards the moon, Mars, and beyond, predicting solar radio burst will be essential as a forecasting storms on the earth. So in a grand narrative of exploration, Parker's discovery is reminder that even the familiar star hold secrets. The sun, which has shining upon the earth for billions of years, is still teaching us how its magnetic heart beats. And hidden switchbacks, once invisible, now stands revealed as an architect of radio storm. And with each revelation, we drew closer to mastering the cosmic weather that shapes our destiny among the stars. So in the end, Parker's solar probe has shown us that the sun is not just a blazing sphere of light, but a restless storyteller weaving its tale through the magnetic switchbacks and radio burst. Each hidden kink in this field is a spark of revelation. Each burst a message carried across the solar system. By decoding these signals, we are not only learning to predict the storm that shapes our cosmic environment, but also hearing for the first time the sun's secret voice. The discovery reminds us that even the most familiar star still holds mysteries of waiting to be unveiled, and with every orbit, Tapaka brings us closer to understanding the rhythm of our star's eternal symphony. So, for today we have come to the end. Magnetic strings and cosmic echoes, that's what is very amazing, and very kind of good to really know more about it. So thanks for watching. Please please like and subscribe our channel. See you in the next one. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
कश्मीर की धरती ने अनेक महान शासकों को जन्म दिया, परंतु उसमें से एक नाम विशेष रूप से इतिहास में चमकता है। कश्मीर की वादियों में जब सत्ता डगमगाने लगी, तब एक महिला ने अपने साहस और बुद्धिमत्ता से इतिहास की दिशा बदल दी। वह थी रानी दिद्दा, विकलांगता के बावजूद अदम्य इच्छा शक्ति वाली शासक, जिन्हें कश्मीर की आयरन वुमन के नाम से भी जाना जाता है। उनका जीवन की जो कहानी है हमें बताती है कि शक्ति केवल शरीर में नहीं होती, बल्कि मन संकल्प में होती है। दिद्या का शासन का लगभग 22 वर्षों तक चला और उनका जीवन साहस, राजनीति की गहरी समझ और अदम्य इच्छा शक्ति का प्रतीक है। दिद्या का जन्म 1924 ईस्वी में हुआ था। बचपन से ही शारीरिक रूप से कमजोर थी। उनकी एक टांग विकलांग थी, लेकिन इस कमजोरी को उन्होंने कभी अपनी शक्ति पर हावी नहीं होने दिया। उनका मनोबल इतना दृढ़ था कि उन्होंने अपने जीवन को एक चुनौतीपूर्ण किंतु प्रेरणादायक यात्रा बना दिया। वह लोहारा वंश की राजकुमारी थी और कश्मीर के राजा क्षेम गुप्त से उनका विवाह हुआ था। विवाह के बाद वे कश्मीर की रानी बनी। क्षेम गुप्त की मृत्यु के बाद दिद्दा ने शासन की बागडोर अपने हाथों में ली। प्रारंभिक रूप में उन्होंने अपने पुत्र अभिमन्यु के साथ शासन किया। 1975 ईस्वी में पुत्र अभिमन्यु की मृत्यु हो गई और दिद्दा ने अपने पोते नरेंद्र गुप्त, त्रिभुवन गुप्त और भीम गुप्त को क्रमशः गद्दी पे बिठाया, परंतु वास्तविक सत्ता उनके हाथ में ही थी। एंड जल्द ही उन्होंने राजनीतिक क्षमता और कठोर निर्णय से इस पूरे क्षेत्र को एक वास्तविक सत्ता का केंद्र बना दिया। दिद्दा का शासन काल लगभग 22 वर्ष तक चला। इस दौरान उन्होंने अनेक षड्यंत्रों विरोधों का सामना किया। दरबार में उनके खिलाफ कई बार विद्रोह हुए, परंतु उन्होंने अपनी चतुराई और कठोर नीतियों को के साथ उन सभी को परास्त किया। कहा जाता है कि उन्होंने अपने विरोधियों को समाप्त करने के लिए कोई भी एक्चुअली संकोच नहीं किया, चाहे वो दरबारी हो या उनके रिश्तेदार। और अगर उनके प्रशासनिक सुधार की बात की जाए तो वो भी काफी बड़े उन्होंने उस समय किए थे, जैसे कि कर व्यवस्था को सुदृढ़ किया और सेना को संगठित किया, सीमाओं की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित की। और उन्होंने सबसे बड़ी अगर उपलब्धि मानी जाए तो उन्होंने कश्मीर को राजनीतिक अस्थिरता से बाहर निकाला और राज्य को एक मजबूत प्रशासनिक ढांचे में ढाला। उन्होंने ये व्यवस्था को सुदृढ़ किया और कश्मीर की जो सीमाएं हैं उसको भी सुरक्षित किया। दिदा का शासन काल अगर कई इतिहासकार बोलते हैं कठोर था, परंतु प्रभावी भी था। उन्होंने ये साबित किया कि एक महिला चाहे शारीरिक रूप से कमजोर ही क्यों ना हो, दृढ़ इच्छा शक्ति बुद्धिमत्ता से पूरे राज्य को संभाल सकती है। उनके शासन के बाद कश्मीर में लोहारा वंश की नींव और भी मजबूत हो गई। और यदि आप यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं तो कृपा करके बताइए कि आप किस शहर से जुड़े हैं और किस भाषा में इस वीडियो को देख रहे हैं। इससे हमारे चैनल की पहुंच को समझने में हमें मदद मिलेगी। चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं और इस चर्चा को आगे और बढ़ाते हैं। इतिहासकार जो हैं वो मानते हैं, कई इतिहासकार मानते हैं कि दिद्दा काफी निर्दयी शासक थी। तो कभी वो ये भी बताते हैं कि वो दूरदर्शी नेता भी थी। लेकिन इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं कि दिद्दा ने कश्मीर के इतिहास में अपनी अमिट छाप छोड़ी। उनकी कहानी हमें सिखाती है कि परिस्थितियां चाहे कितनी भी कठोर क्यों ना हो, साहस दृढ़ता से उन्हें बदला जा सकता है। रानी दिद्दा का जीवन हमें यह भी सिखाता है कि शक्ति शारीरिक सामर्थ्य में नहीं बल्कि दृढ़ संकल्प दूरदर्शिता में निहित होती है। विकलांगता के बावजूद उन्होंने कश्मीर की सत्ता संभाली, षड्यंत्रों को परास्त किया और राज्य की स्थिरता बनाए रखी। उनके शासन काल ने यह प्रमाणित किया कि महिला भी कठोर निर्णय लेकर इतिहास की धारा बदल सकती है। अगर देखा जाए तो दिद्दा की कहानी साहस और नेतृत्व की है, जिसने अमित छाप कश्मीर के इतिहास पर छोड़ी है। कभी कई लोग उनको निर्दयी कहते हैं, कई दूरदर्शी कहते हैं, लेकिन उनकी गाथा हमें ये प्रेरणा देती है कि कठिन परिस्थितियों में भी यदि मनोबल अडिग रहे तो असंभव को भी संभव किया जा सकता है। तो अब हम अपनी चर्चा के अंत तक पहुंच चुके हैं। कृपा करके हमारे चैनल को लाइक और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और विषय पर अगर आपकी कोई टिप्पणी हो तो उसको भी हमारे साथ साझा कीजिए। अब हम ये समाप्त करते हैं आज की मुलाकात। आपसे फिर बहुत जल्द मुलाकात होगी। तब तक अपना ख्याल रखिए। नमस्कार।
Hello friends. In the high-stake world of corporate leadership, volatility is the only constant. But what separates a good leader from an unshakable one? In this video, we explore the profound wisdom of Bhagavad Gita and its direct application to the modern CEOs and different high leadership executives. We dive deep into the concept of samadhi, not as a mystical retreat but as the ultimate state of the mental clarity and decision making. Let us proceed further on this thought.
Every CEO knows the feeling. It is 2 p.m. and the market is dipping. A key executive just resigned and your board is asking for a pivot. In this movement, your heart rates climb and your mind starts to race. You feel the waver. Most leadership training tells you to look outward for a solution, analyzing the data, check the competition, pivot the strategy. But ancient wisdom suggests that the most effective leader don't look out, they look inwards. Today we are exploring a profound lesson from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 21. It's a verse that defines the state of perfection for a yogi. But as we all see that the actual blueprint for the ultimate high pressure performance executive is very well defined in this particular verse. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's look at the verse itself. It says, on attaining perfection, the yogi sees the soul through the purified mind and experience inner joy. In this joyous state of pure bliss or samadhi, which is beyond comprehension of the senses, he never wavers from the path. And the quote close. There are three key pillars here that applies directly to you as a leader. Number one is the purified mind. So in business, we call this clarity. Number two is beyond the senses. In business, we call this vision. And number three is the unwavering path. And in business, we call this execution. The verse suggests that never wavering isn't a result of willpower or being tough. It's a result of a specific internal state called samadhi. The verse states, with seeing through purified mind, what does a dirty or a cluttered mind look like for a CEO? It's a mind filled with noise, fear of failure, the egos and need for validation. Also, distraction of the short-term gains. All the distraction that you may get because of the short-term gains. When your mind is cluttered, you aren't seeing reality. You are seeing a projection of the reality. You react to the news rather than responding to the truth. Learning in the context of this verse isn't about reading more spreadsheets. It's about purifying the lens. When a leader purifies their mind through meditation, reflection, or radical honesty, they see the soul of the business. They see the core purpose. And when you see the core clearly, the external chaos loses its power, which would eventually distracted you. But then you are, saving yourself from that distraction. Next, the Gita mentions a joy that is beyond comprehension of the senses. This is the part which most business schools miss. We are taught to rely entirely on our senses. What we can see in a report, hear in a meeting, or touch in a product. But the most iconic leaders think like Steve Jobs, Indra Nooyi, or Howard Schultz often made their biggest move based on something beyond the senses. They had an inner conviction that defied the current data. Bhagavad Gita calls this samadhi. For a CEO, this is the flow state. It is that moment where you are so aligned with your purpose that you experience a quiet inner joy even in the middle of a crisis. Why is this joy important? Because if your happiness depends on your stock price, which is a sensory input, you will waver every time the market fluctuates. But if your joy comes from an internal alignment with your mission, you become a bulletproof CEO. The final promise of the verse is the most important, and that is, he never wavers from the path. In the corporate world, wavering is expensive. It leads to confused teams, wasted resources, and lost market share. Leaders waver because they are searching for external certainty. But as verse 21 teaches us, certainty is an inside job. When you have experienced that inner joy and pure bliss of clarity, you no longer need the world to tell you that you are right? You stay the course because you know the course. This isn't stubbornness. Stubbornness is an ego-driven refusal to change. Unwavering leadership is a soul-driven commitment to a truth that you have perceived through clear mind. So how do you apply this today? You don't need to move to Himalayas to find that state. You find it in the micro moments of your day. Before your next meeting, take 2 minutes to purify the lens. Strip away the ego and the fear. Ask, what is the core truth here? When things go wrong, check your joy. If your peace is gone, you have slipped back into the world of senses. Reconnect with your why. Commit to the path. Once you see the truth through a clear mind, trust it. The best leaders never waver because they aren't following the world. They are leading from a place where the world cannot touch them. So, friends, go forth and lead with that unshakable clarity. We have come to the end of our lesson today. Before I close this session, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Hello friends, you might have heard about the latest acquisition by SpaceX, which is Elon Musk. Is SpaceX latest $60 billion move the secret to colonize the Mars? In a massive industry shifting announcement, Elon Musk SpaceX has secured an option to acquire Cursor, the world leader AI coding startup, for a staggering $60 billion. This deal isn't just about software, it's a strategic play to integrate Cursor's vibe coding AI with SpaceX colossal supercomputer, the world's most powerful AI training cluster. In this video, we break down why Musk is betting $60 billion on AI and how this technology could be the missing link for Starship's autonomous system, deep space navigation, and the massive software infrastructure needed to build a city on Mars. Let's go.
Well, $60 billion, that's more than the entire valuation of many Fortune 500 companies, right? It's twice what NASA gets in a year, and it is the price tag of a single option. Elon Musk just secured, for SpaceX. Yesterday, the world of aerospace and AI collided. SpaceX officially announced a strategic partnership with Cursor, the AI coding startup that has taken the developer world by storm. But this isn't just a partnership. SpaceX now holds the exclusive right to buy Cursor for $60 billion by the end of 2026. Why would a rocket company, one that just merged with XAI and is targeting a 1.75 trillion IPO, drop that kind of cash on a code editor? Is it just about helping engineers write faster apps, or is this the missing link that finally makes a city on Mars a reality? Today we are deconstructing the SpaceX Cursor deal, the colossal supercomputer, and why the road to the red planet is now paved with billions of lines of AI generated code. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed with our analysis. If you aren't a developer, you might not realize how big Cursor has become. It's a fork of the VS Code, but it has been rebuilt from the ground up with AI at its core. It pioneered what enthusiasts call the vibe coding, the ability to describe a complex feature in plain English and watch the AI architect the entire file structure, logic, and test in seconds. And therefore, we need to consider this statistics. ARR, over 2 billion today, projected to hit 6 billion by year end. And what is the reach? Used by over 50% of the Fortune 500 company. And what is the most important thing? It is not just a chatbot. It is a tool that understands your entire code base. SpaceX isn't just buying a tool. They are buying the distribution channel to the world's best engineers. But there is a catch. SpaceX has two choices: pay 10 billion for a joint development partnership, or pay $60 billion for the whole thing. It's a try before you buy deal at a galactical scale. To understand why this matters, we have to look at the hardware. Back in the February 2026, SpaceX merged with XAI. In that merger, SpaceX inherited Colossus, the world's most powerful AI training cluster running on roughly 1 million NVIDIA H100 equivalents. Before this deal, Cursor was a bottleneck by the computing power. They were using model from OpenAI and Anthropic, but now Cursor is moving into the SpaceX family. They get direct access to Colossus. Imagine taking the world's most intuitive coding interface and plug in it to the world's largest supercomputer. We are talking about training a personal super intelligent specifically for engineering. This isn't about building another Grok for Twitter. It's about building an AI that can design a Raptor engine, simulate orbital mechanics, and debug the flight software of a starship in real time. Elon Musk has often said that the hardest part of Starship isn't that rocket, it is the machine that built the machine. To put a million people on Mars by 2050, you need thousands of starships. You need autonomous propellant plants on Martian surface. You need life support system that never fails. The software complexity required to manage a multi-planetary logistics chain is mind-boggling. Currently, writing that software takes thousands of human engineers and millions of man-hours. But with Cursor integrated into SpaceX stacks, accelerated prototyping will be a reality. AI can generate ground control software for the 2028 lunar mission in a fraction of time. It can also achieve autonomous debugging. On a 6-month journey to Mars, you can't wait for a patch from Earth. The ship's AI need to find a fix on its own and also debug the whole software. Next, it is going to create a stairway to Mars. This acquisition suggests that SpaceX is pivoting from being a launch provider to vertical tech stack. Their own internet, which is Starlink, their own AI, which is XAI. Now it could be Cursor also, and the transport, which is the Starship. Let's talk about money. This deal comes just as SpaceX prepare for its rumored 2026 IPO. Analysts are targeting a listing valuation of 1.75 trillion. By securing Cursor, SpaceX is signaling to Wall Street that they aren't just a transportation company, they are deep tech, combination of various companies. If they can prove that their AI integrated engineering can cut the cost of reaching Mars by 90%, a 60 billion acquisition start to look like a bargain. However, not everyone is convinced. Critics point to the anthropic shock earlier this year that wiped billions of IT giants. They ask if this a visionary move or is it another overvaluation in a red hot AI market. Whether SpaceX Cursor buys the Cursor for $60 billion or stay in a $10 billion partnership, one thing is clear. The future of space exploration is no longer just about fuel and physics. It's about intelligence. If Starship is the body that takes us to stars, the AI acquisition is the brain. We are watching the birth of the company that controls the physical and the digital infrastructure of the next century. So friends, what do you think? Is $60 billion fair price for the key to the red planet, or is the AI bubble reaching escape velocity? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into technology shaping our future. I'm CK and I will see you again in the next one. Before I go, I like to say a few words about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, Namaskaram, you're most welcome. Your resume is officially a relic of the past. As of today, July 14, 2026, the world's top corporation has stopped looking at where you went to school and started measuring how your brain processes chaos in real time. You aren't now applying for a job anymore. You're entering a high stakes simulation where every click is a data point. So, in this situation, what you should do to get a job? Let's explore this further. Tell me about a time you overcame a challenge. If you have applied for a job in the last decade, you know that question. You have rehearsed that answer. You have polished it. You have delivered it to a panel of people who are trying to read your body language while you are trying to hide the fact that your palms are sweating. But what if I told you that the day of that you know performative, scripted, anxiety inducing interview are fading? Welcome to 2026. If you are currently on the job hunt, you might have noticed something strange. You applied for a position, and instead of getting a request for a Zoom call, you got a link to an interactive simulation, which is a game. Today, we are talking about why your next job interview will be a video game. And more importantly, why the old rules, the ones you have been following since 2010 or even before, might just result in a game over screen before you even get to meet a human being. Let's be honest, the traditional interview is fundamentally broken. It relies on two flawed metrics: the resume, which is basically a marketing brochure, and the interview, which is a test of who is the best at acting. Companies have realized what a well written resume doesn't mean you can solve the problem. It just means you know how to write a resume. And a charismatic interview doesn't mean you have leadership skill. It just means you are good at chatting. For years, the HR department have been looking for an objective way to assess candidate. They wanted to strip away the biases, the unconscious preferences for people who went to the same school or talk the same way or share the same hobbies. They wanted data. They found it in the one place they didn't expect, which is the video game industry. So, what does a gamified interview actually look like in 2026? It is not a Super Mario. You're not jumping over the barrels. You're stepping onto the digital environment, a simulation of the roles you're applying for. Imagine you're applying for a project manager role. Instead of saying, I am good at prioritizing, the game put you in a room. You have three projects with conflicting deadlines, a budget deficit, and a team member who's underperforming. The clock is ticking, the AI is watching. It is not measuring if you win the game, it is measuring how you play. It's tracking your reaction time to the stressors. It is mapping your decision making patterns. It is analyzing whether you prioritize the budget, the team's morale, or the long term strategic goal. You aren't answering a question, you are demonstrating your competency in real time. For the employer, this is a gold mine. They aren't getting your story, they are getting your behavioral data. They can see how you handle the pressure when the screen starts flashing red. They can see how you communicate when the AI avatars challenge your authority. It's an efficient, it is scalable, and for the candidate who know how to play, it's actually kind of fun. But here is where the game is over and the warning comes in. This isn't just about the simulation, it's about the massive AI architecture that sits behind the curtain. In 2026, many companies are using what I call the cultural fit algorithm. When you play these gamified assessment, you aren't just sending data to a recruiter, you are actually feeding a massive neural network driven predictive model. This model has analyzed thousands of top performing employees at that company. It knows the DNA of their success. When you interact with the simulation, the AI is comparing your DNA, your decision making style, your adaptability, your risk tolerance against their high performers. If the algorithm determines you are a 40% match, you might be auto rejected. No human ever see your face, no human ever read your cover letter. This sounds harsh, I know, but it is the reality of high volume hiring world in 2026. The algorithm is the gatekeeper and the gatekeeper has no patience for ambiguity. I know it sounds something out of a dystopian science fiction movie, but take a deep breath. There is a massive upside to this shift. Think about the traditional hiring process. You have to hope that the recruiter is in a good mood. You have to hope that they don't have a bias against your university, your accent, or your background. Gamification and AI assessment actually strip a lot of that away. The algorithm doesn't care about the pedigree. It doesn't care about the name on your degree. It cares about your output. It cares about your potential. If you are a talented person who didn't go to an Ivy League school or who has a non traditional background, these games are the best friends. They are a skill first equalizer. You have a chance to prove you can do the work regardless of who you are, where you came from. The interview of 2026 is becoming a meritocracy. You just have to learn how to play the game. So, how do you prepare for an interview that feels like a video game? Stop rehearsing answers. Start training skills. Don't memorize script. You need to sharpen your decision making and your emotional intelligence. Practice high pressure scenarios. Understand the why. If the game presents a crisis, don't just react. Think about the values the company is looking for. Are they a fast paced, risk taker culture or a collaborative, risk averse culture? The game will likely lean towards one of those. Don't panic at the failure state. In many of these simulations, there is no perfect score. The game might intentionally throw a disaster at you to see if you crumble. If things go wrong in simulation, don't shut down. The algorithm is looking for resilience. How you recover from bad movie, um, bad project is often more important than the move itself. The job market is changing. The rules are being rewritten by AI, by data, and by the gamification of your work lives. It can be intimidating, but it's also an opportunity. It means the resume black hole is finally being replaced by a direct assessment of your potential. Your next interview might be a video game, but remember, every game has a tutorial, and now you know what to look for. Stay adaptable, keep your head in the game, get ready to level up your career. Friends, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send it across. And I will see you in the next or the next level, next stage, or next level, or the next one. Bye for now. चरण सरोज रज निजमन मुकुर सुधार बरनौ रघुवर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचार बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहे हरेउ कलेश विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान कुंज सागर जय कपीस तेहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बलदामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमत के संगी कंचन वरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिवे को आतुर प्रभु चरित सुनवे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरी सिंह दिखावा, विकट रूप धरी लंग जरावा, भीम रूप धरी असुर सहारे, रामचंद्र जी के काज सवारे। लाए सजीवन लखन जी आए, श्री रघुबीर हर्ष उर लाए, रघुपत कीनी बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत संभाई। सहस बदन तुमरो यश गावे, अस कही श्रीपति कंठ लगावे, सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाँ थे, कवि कोविद कही सके कहाँ थे, तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीना, राम मिलाए राजपद दीना। तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश सर्वै सब जग जाना, जुग सहस्त्र जोजन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेल मुख माही, जलधि लांघे अचरज नाही, दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवाले, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे, सब सुख लहें तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन ते समारो आपे, तीनों लोग हाँकते कापे, भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम भजन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लाए, सोई अविद जीवन फल पाए। चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्धि जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवाले, असुर निकंदन राम दुआरे। अस सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, अस पर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुमरे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुमरो भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित न धरे, हनुमत से ही सब सुख करे। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गुसाई, कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सतपार पाठ कर कोई, छूटे बंदी महासुख होई। जो ये पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होए सिद्धि साकी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय में डेरा। पवन तने संकट हरन, मंगल मूरत रूप, राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसव सुरभूप। जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम। रिकॉर्ड हुआ कि नहीं हुआ?
मुझे तो नहीं लगा, और वही दिख रही रिकॉर्ड है, हो गया नहीं?
हैंग किया हुआ है क्या?
ये हो
हैंग किया हुआ।
In the grand symphony of India's philosophical heritage, Rishi Jamini's voice rises like a drumbeat of duty, which is steady, resonant, and timeless. While sages sought liberation through knowledge or devotion, Jamini declared that the universe itself is upheld by action. And his Mimamsa Sutra transformed rituals into cosmic law, dharma, that is righteousness, into a daily rhythm, and responsibility into the very heartbeat of existence. Today, in 2026 and beyond, his vision of ritual as responsibility echoes anew and remind us that the yajna of sustainability, justice, and compassion are the modern duties that keep our fragile world in balance. So let's find out more. In the vast constellation of Indian races, Rishi Jamini shines as the discipline of Vyas, or the architect of Purva Mimamsa Sutra. His work carved a distinct path of Hindu philosophy, one that emphasized the authority of Veda and the sanctity of ritual. And of course, it is also a binding power of dharma, which is righteousness. Whether other schools sought liberation through knowledge or devotion, Jaminis Mimimsa place the spotlight on the action, rituals, as they actually turn out as a bridge between humanity and the cosmic order. So Jamini's contribution to Hinduism was profound, and definitely it is profound even today. He argued that Vedas are eternal and self-validating and required no external proof. So, in his vision, the ritual prescribed in Vedas were not mere a symbolic act but an engine of cosmic harmony. Each mantra and each offerings was a thread in the tapestry of dharma, which is righteousness, and sustaining balance between seen and unseen world. For Jamini, liberation was not the ultimate goal. Rather, the fulfillment of duty and the perpetuation of order were paramount. In his philosophy, he gave Hinduism a framework where the rituals were not a superstition but science, and exacting the discipline that aligns human life with universal rhythm. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. That will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So, moving forward, Mimamsa school also sharpened the tools of logic and hermeneutics. The Jaminis Sutra developed a method to interpret Vedic injunctions, resolve contradictions, and establish principles of meaning. In doing so, he laid the groundwork for later Indian philosophy, influencing Vedanta and Nyaya and even the Buddhist thought. His insistence on autonomy of language and ritual created a tradition where the intellectual rigor and the spiritual practice walked hand in hand. So when we talk about the relevance in 2026 and beyond, it is very much resonating, and it is definitely unexpected ways which need to be practiced to know more about this. As humanity grapples with the climate change, technological disruptions, and ethical dilemmas, his emphasis on rituals as responsibility acquire new meaning. Ritual in the modern sense can be seen as sustainable practice or civil duties or collective action that preserve the balance, that create the balance in many of the aspects of human life and cosmos. Just as Vedic duty maintained cosmic order, today's ritual, whether recycling or meditating or community service, can be viewed as an act of dharma, which is righteousness and sustaining planetary harmony. Moreover, Jamini's focus on action over metaphysical expectations speaks to generation and immersed in pragmatism. In an age of AI and quantum uncertainty, his philosophy reminds us that the meaning is not only in abstract theories but in lived practices. So the Mimimsa insistence on authority of tradition parallels the contemporary debate on cultural continuity and ethical framework in a rapid changing world. So in his teaching, we and people who believe in that, they are encouraged to honor the inherited wisdom while applying also into a modern challenges. So philosophical parallels to Mimimsa. So we can actually dive deep into these parallels beside Mimimsa. So these philosophies of Mimimsa are definitely also being offered by other schools of thoughts. And in spirit, definitely there are other schools of thought which is somehow compared to Mimimsa school, and which emphasizes on the ritual actions and duty, and that echo you will find in Confucius teaching and theories. So as Mimimsa in Confucian's thought, they also elevate rituals as the foundation of social and cosmic order. So moving forward, if we talk about modern secular rituals like national ceremonies, civil observations, and even the scientific protocols that definitely embody the Mimimsa spirit and ritualized action and sustains collective meaning. So Rishi Jamini's legacy is not confined to the past, because the kind of ritual he's talking about, which is very much prevalent even in today's time, and that definitely give a benefit of responsibility in these rituals. And his Mimimsa Sutra reminds us that the universe is upheld not only by knowledge or devotion, but by rhythm of responsibility and the action which we do with the responsibility. In 2026 and beyond, as the humanity faces cries that demands collective discipline, his voice echoes, and dharma is not distinct. That means the righteousness is not distinct. It is enacted daily. So it is a practice, it is a responsibility, it's a rhythm, and it is also a ritual. The rituals of sustainability, justice, compassion are definitely our modern actions or duties, or we can call it yagyas, binding us to the cosmos. So in this way, Jamini's vision continues to guide us not towards escape from the world, but towards its preservation and beyond, to get the right kind of output for human life. So we have come to the end. Please like and subscribe our channel. We look forward for your comment and see you in the next one. So, but before we end this video, a few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
In the boundless silence of space, where the radiation lashes like an invisible storm and the vacuum strips away every trace of comfort, one would expect life to flutter. Yet, against all odds, tiny fungal spores have endured, and their survival is more than a scientific curiosity. It is a defiant proclamation that biology is tougher than we have imagined. Clothed in a melanin armor, suspended in metabolic stillness, these microscopic voyagers cling to existence in the most hostile frontier known to mankind. So let's find out more about this. In the cold silence beyond Earth's protective atmosphere, where the radiation storm rages and temperatures plummet, life is not expected to endure. Yet, in the recent experiment, which have revealed a startling resilience, certain fungi, hardy and unyielding, have survived prolonged exposure to deep space condition, and their survival challenges our assumption about the fragility of biology and raises profound questions about possibility of microbial hitchhikers journeying to the Mars. So scientists have placed spores of extramophilic fungi aboard orbital platform, exposing them to the cosmic radiation, vacuum and the relentless cycle of solar flares. So months later, when these were retrieved and examined, many spores remained viable, and their cell wall, rich in melanin, acted as a shield against the radiation, while their metabolic dormancy allowed them to endure starvation and desiccations. So what seems like a death sentence become a testament to evolutionary ingenuity. So these organisms born in shadow of Earth's ecosystem proved capable of weathering the hardest frontier. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you are watching us and which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So going forward, the implication of ripple outward. So if the fungi can survive the journey, so too might bacteria or other microbes. And these raises a specter of forward contamination, the accidental transport of Earth's life to the Mars. A single resilient spore nested in the crevice of spacecraft could seed alien soil, and implication the search or implicating for indigenous Martian life. So the line between the discovery and contamination grows perilously thin. For planetary protection agencies, the survival of fungi is both a marvel and a warning. Yet there is another perspective, and that is we are talking about opportunity. If the fungi can endure space, they might one day serve as allies in colonization. And their ability to recycle nutrients, break down the waste, and even produce protective compound could make them invaluable partner for astronauts establishing habitats on Mars. Imagine fungal bioreactors converting Martian logit into fertile soil, or shielding domes infused with melanin to observe the radiation. So what begins as a survival experiment could evolve into a cornerstone of extraterrestrial agriculture and medicine. The survival of fungi also touches on the deeper philosophical questions, and that is life. And it seems it is like a fragile frame, easily extinguished, but can the strong force that can cling to existence wherever it can. So the cosmos, the vast and indifferent it may be, but it not empty with the possibilities. And each spore that endures in the orbit whispers of resilience, of stubborn refusal of biology to yield. In their microscopic triumph, the fungi remind us that life is not confined to Earth. It is a universal experiment, always probing the boundaries of possibilities. As humanity prepares for Mars mission, these fungal survivors stand as both cautionary tale and the beacon of hope. They warn us that the thread of this survival, we have to actually deal with careful insight, and least we overwrite Martian biology with our own. But they also inspire us to imagine a future where Earth's smallest organism help us to thrive on very distinct world, and in quiet endurance of these spores drifting through space, we glimpse the persistence of life itself, unyielding, adaptable, and forever reaching to new horizon, new boundaries. In the quiet resilience of these spores drifting unbroken through the cosmic abyss, we glimpse a truth larger than any single experiment. Life is not fragile, but defined. The fungi that endures in the deep space remind us that the biology is a force that adapts, persists, and seeks footholds even in the most hostile realm. As humanity prepares to step into the Mars, their survival is both a warning and a promise. Warning us to guard against the contamination, yet promising that life itself may be our greatest ally in the journey beyond Earth. So, in the void where the silence resigns, the spores whisper, a timeless refrain. Our life refuses to die, and it is a refusal, it is a carrier that the seeds of tomorrow's world. So we have come to the end. Thanks for watching this, and we look forward for your comment. At the same time, we request you to subscribe our channel. See you in the next, but before we go further, a few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
So, friends, in the silent theater of cosmos, where the gravity bends light and time folds upon itself, black holes have been like a universe's most cryptic storytellers. They swallow star as a whole, erased galaxies from the sight, and yet, paradoxically, may never truly destroy what they consume. For decades, physicists have stood at the edge of this mystery, staring into the event horizon and asking the unanswerable. Does universe forget? No, the situation is like as if we are actually listening echoes of abyss, and there definitely is a black hole paradox. Now, a new whisper rises from the depth, the idea that black hole leave behind tiny quantum remnants, eternal seeds that cradle the memory of everything which they have consumed. So these invisible relic could be universe's way of keeping its secrets intact, maybe rewriting the laws of oblivion itself. So it is a revelation that turning destruction into preservation, chaos into cosmic order, and perhaps offer humanity its first glimpse into how universe remember its own story. So let's find out more about this. In the vast silence of cosmos where the light itself bends and time trembles, black holes have long stood as the universe's most enigmatic sentinels, devoid of matters, keepers of secrets. For decades, physicists have wrestled with the haunting question: when a black hole dies, what happens to the information it once consumed? Does it vanish forever? Define the laws of quantum mechanics, or does the universe find a way to remember? Now, the researchers propose a daring answer that black holes do not erase information but leave behind tiny remnants, quantum seeds that preserve the memory of everything that ever fall within their grasp. So these remnants, smaller than atom yet infinitely dense, could be universe way of keeping its leisure balanced. A cosmic archive written in the language of gravity and light. So imagine the final movement of black hole's life, hawking radiations and faint whispers of quantum particles escaping its event horizon and grows stronger as the black hole shrinks. For years, scientists believed that this evaporation could end in nothingness, a complete disappearance. But now a new theory suggests otherwise. As the black hole nears its end, it's stabilized into minute scales like relic, a fragment of space-time so compressed that it cannot evaporate further. So within this remnant lies encoded the information of stars, planets, and even the civilization that once crossed its threshold. So this idea actually bridges the chaos between the Einstein's relativity and a kind of quantum mechanics. So there are two pillars of physics that have long refused to speak the same language. So relativity describes the grand architecture of space-time, while the theory governs the subatomic dance of particles. So the black hole paradox has been their battlefield, a place where the both theories seems to fail. But if the remnants truly exist, they could serve as translator between these worlds, preserving the quantum information and within the fold of curved time and space. So the implication ripple outward. If every black hole leaves behind a remnant, then the universe may be kind of full of these invisible grains of infinite density, silent witness of cosmic history. So these remnants could even account for a part of mysterious dark matter that shapes galaxies yet remains unseen. So for each one would be a miniature vault of memory holding the echoes of creation itself. So philosophically, the theory restore a kind of cosmic justice, and information like consciousness cannot simply vanish. The universe, it seems, refused to forget. So every photon, every atom, every thought that ever existed leaves an imprint somewhere. So perhaps in the heart of these eternal remnants, maybe, right? So in this view, the black hole are not a destroyer, but archivists. So the one who archives the information. Now the preserving the story of existence in the form we cannot yet read. So as a telescope grow sharper and quantum computer more powerful, humanity edges closer to encoding these mysteries. So the paradox that once mocked our understanding may soon become the key to unify physics, the long sought that is theory of everything. And when that day comes, we may finally glimpse the truth behind the darkness, that even in the deepest void, the universe remembers. So, friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in to this live streaming, and this will help us to determine the reach of our channel. Now, let's continue with our discussion. So, in the silence of the void, the remnant remembers the information, right? About the star, about the galaxies. And so the paradox that once haunted physics finds a poetic resolution. So, black hole once thought to be ultimate erasers of a cosmic memory may instead leave behind tiny remnants, silent, indestructible seeds of information. So, in their shadow lies not oblivion but a preservation. Every star consumed, every photon swallowed, and every whisper of matter that etched into the eternal fragments, ensuring that the universe actually does not forget anything. So, what began as a riddle between the relativity and the quantum mechanics now unfold as a promise that even in the deepest darkness, memory endures. The black hole paradox, long a symbol of cosmic contradictions, become instead a testament to continuity, a reminder that the universe, vast and mysterious, yet carries its own archive of existence. So, friends, we have reached till the end to the end of this discussion. We look forward for your comments on this topic, and kindly please do like and subscribe our channel, and see you in the next one very soon. Till then, bye.
The biggest question today that we have to tackle is, why does everything exist at all? For decades, the physicists have been haunted by the antimatter mystery. The fact that the Big Bang should have produced equal amount of matter and antimatter, leading to total annihilation and an empty universe. But a groundbreaking theory suggests that answer lies in the exploding black holes. In this video, we dive deep into the world of primordial black holes, PBH, tiny high-energy black holes formed seconds after the birth of the universe. Unlike their massive cousins, these tiny titans don't just sit there, they evaporate through Hawking radiation, eventually ending in violent explosions. We will explore how these cosmic firecrackers may have tipped the scale, creating the slight excess of matter that allowed stars, planets, and humans to form. Let us explore this further. Friends, what happens is that everything eventually fall into black hole. If you go very close to the black hole, you will see that the black hole will actually pull you in and then devour you, speedify you, and really bad thing happens to you. Your energy is sucked out and becomes part of the black hole. And so scientists used to wonder what will happen to black hole? Are they eternal? And it turns out that the Stephen Hawking said, no, they are not, because they are also radiating. And that radiation, very, very minute radiation, very faint, is now what we call the Hawking radiation. Well, this video is not about Hawking radiation, but the important part is that even black hole, which are the biggest sucker of the universe, also radiate, and therefore if they are radiating, that means their mass is going to reduce eventually, and then they will have to completely evaporate. However, black holes don't go out simply evaporate. When they come to the minimum size that they can have, there is a internal pressure, or the pressure of the vacuum, because of which after crossing that threshold, I mean, they have the event horizon, but they also have a minimum size horizon. Once they cross that, they simply explode. They cannot, the inward pressure cannot hold, and it evaporates or explode instantaneously, and the energy is released back into the universe. And that is what may have caused the extra matter that we see, the energy released after exploding of the initial black holes. So now scientists have debated, and they have agreed upon that when the universe formed, there were trillions, gazillions of the primordial black holes formed. These are microscopic black holes, and they are very small as a proton, but they have a mass equal to a moon. So they have still very strong power. They can pull things towards them. They can devour everything, but they are quite small, very difficult to detect. And since they are small, that means their time came before we, our solar system took birth. When we started coming to the world, the primordial, I mean, that's the assumption again, the primordial black holes would have been long gone. So now going back to the mystery. The mystery is, when the universe formed, there should be equal amount of matter and antimatter. Matter is, what we are made of, and antimatter is equally an opposite, matter. And when these two guys touch each other or come close to each other, they completely annihilate into a pure energy. So now we know that there was equal amount of matter and antimatter was formed in the initial first day of the universe, and then after some time the matter antimatter came close again and annihilated, and therefore there was a second bang. And we now know that the second bang really happened, and then it was still in the very early stages of the universe formation. However, if we take the if we consider the PBH, which is the primordial black hole, very, very tiny small black holes, if they were also formed before the annihilation happened, that means that portion of the matter was not part of the second bang, right? That means the second bang happened, the matter and antimatter collided and exploded with releasing a lot of energy into the space. However, the PBH were out of this explosion, and they evaporated, releasing a lot of matter. And that is where the mystery of why we do not see antimatter in the space. Whatever we see today using our very advanced telescope, we don't see anything made of antimatter. We see everything made of electrons, protons, neutrons, atoms. All of this is matter, and we don't see. Although we can make antimatter in the laboratory, but it does not last, because it's very difficult to hold the antimatter. It will mix with matter and annihilate in pure energy. Nothing is left. It's a matter antimatter explosion is the best explosion, best release of energy, because there are no byproducts out of that. Pure energy is released. So when we don't see antimatter in the universe naturally occurring, that gave rise to the mystery, and that is what we are discussing today. What happened to the antimatter, and why we exist at all? I mean, when matter and antimatter were produced, and then the second bang happened, then from where this matter remained in the universe, of which we are all made of, all the stars in the heavens, all the planets, all the living beings are made of matter. So scientists are now saying that the PBH may be responsible, because PBH would have survived the second bang, and then later they evaporated, releasing the energy, which then condensed into matter. And there was no question of antimatter, that energy condensing into antimatter. And that is why, if this is true, well, it is very difficult to prove or disprove this, but if this is true, this explains why we exist, why the universe exists, why stars, why the physics exist, right? So this is something which I wanted to discuss in the universe section today. If you have any thoughts, any comments, please share those in the comment section below. Thanks for joining live, and I will catch
In the world where the science keeps redrawing the boundaries of what we know, the discovery of first detailed smell map of human nose feels almost poetic, isn't it? A revolution of order hidden within the chaos. For centuries, we believed scent was simple chemical whisper, drifting aimlessly into brain. But now, scientists have uncovered a structured symphony beneath that simplicity. A network of olfactory receptors arranged with precision, and each tuned to its own molecular melody. And this breakthrough doesn't just rewrite the biology textbook, it opens a door to the future of sensory intelligence. So let's find out more. The human nose has been treated as a simple gateway to scent, a passive receptor of invisible molecules drifting through the air. But recent research has shattered the notion. Scientists have now unveiled the first detailed smell map of the nose, a discovery that redraws the boundaries of sensory biology. Imagine a machine that can smell disease before symptoms appears, or a digital environment that evoke emotions through a scent as vividly as color and sound. So the nose now, once underestimated, has become a frontier of innovation, a living code that could teach technology how to feel. So in this unfolding chapter of science, the smell map is more than anatomy. It is a blueprint for empathy, for memory, and for perception itself. So the future may well breathe through the discovery one molecule at a time. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. Now, moving forward. So in this new map, olfactory receptors are not scattered randomly as once believed. They form an intricate neighborhood, each tuned to specific chemical families, treating as a living mosaic of perception. So the nose, it turns out, is not just a detector. It is an active interpreter, translating molecular patterns into emotional and cognitive experiences. So this breakthrough overturns the decades textbook models. It suggests that smell is far more complex and then a simple signal and sent to the brain. So it is dynamic conversation between biology and memory. So the implication ripples outward from medicine to artificial intelligence. Understanding how the nose organize and decode scent could lead to bio-inspired sensors that mimic human intuitions or capable of detecting disease markers, or maybe environmental toxins or even emotional state through chemical cues. So, looking to the future, this smell map may become a blueprint for synthetic olfactory machine that can smell as human do, and bridging the gap between organic and digital perception. It could redefine how we design perfume and diagnose illness or even communicate emotion in a virtual space. So, in essence, the nose has revealed itself as the universe of order and meaning, that biological cosmos where every molecule finds its place and every scent tells a story. The future of sensory science now lies in decoding the story one breath at a time. So the implications are profound, and you also understand that the smell is no longer just a sensory whisper. It is a coded language, a biological choreography that shapes memory, emotion, and perception. So, by decoding this map, scientists may unlock new frontiers. Machine that can smell disease before symptoms appear, or maybe a machine or something which the sensors can detect environment toxins with humans, like intuitions or immersive digital world where the scent become a vivid as sight and sound. So this breakthrough is more than an anatomy. It is a visible or maybe a visible vision, a profound vision of the future. The nose is definitely important, and this also in every breath, and we know that things will definitely move forward into this innovation. So this breakthrough, as it is definitely a humble yet profound implication on the human life, and has become a frontier of innovation and going forward, which will be offering a blueprint of synthetic olfactory and bio-inspired technology. So in every breath lies a story, and now we hold the key to read it. So we have come to the end of this information. We look forward for your comments, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe our channel. So see you in the next one. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. हेलो दोस्तों, नमस्कारम, आप सबका स्वागत है। हाल ही में अमेरिका और ईरान के बीच में एक डील हुई है जिसमें उन्होंने कहा है कि अब जो स्टेट ऑफ हार्मोज है पूरी तरह खुल गया है, हमारा एग्रीमेंट हो गया है। और इस खबर के आते ही जो प्राइस है क्रूड ऑयल का वो गिर गया है, $75 आ गया है। आपको पता होगा कि जो क्रूड का जो प्राइस था वो 100 के ऊपर जा रहा था, लेकिन अब 75 पे आ गया है, कल ही आया है। और ऐसा बोला जा रहा है कि और गिरेगा। तो क्योंकि प्राइस गिर रहा है, इससे क्या नए खतरे का हमें आभास हो रहा है? ऐसा है कि इस पर्टिकुलर एग्रीमेंट में कोई नया युद्ध के बारे में कुछ बातें हैं जो बाहर आ सकती हैं। तो इस वीडियो में हम इस बात का एक चर्चा करेंगे, एक डिस्कशन करेंगे कि अगर $50 से नीचे प्राइस आ गया तो दुनिया के अर्थव्यवस्था को लेके क्या चिंता करनी चाहिए, और इसके बाद कुछ और हमारे ऊपर कोई विपदा तो नहीं आने वाली है। इसके बारे में हम डिस्कशन करते हैं इस वीडियो में। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। तो दोस्तों, हम सबको मालूम है कि पिछले कुछ महीनों में स्टेट ऑफ हार्मूज के आसपास क्या हुआ। अमेरिका और ईरान में आपस में लड़ाई हुई, और पहले तो ईरान ने स्टेट ऑफ हार्मूज को बंद किया, इधर उधर बमबारी की। उसके बाद अमेरिका ने उसको बंद कर दिया, करीब 1 महीने से ज़्यादा हो गया अमेरिका ने उसमें ब्लॉकेड लगाया हुआ है। उसकी वजह से जो क्रूड ऑयल का प्राइस है वो आसमान छू गया, 110 120 तक पहुंच गया। और आप देखिए, अगर आप इस जियो पॉलिटिक्स में कुछ रुचि रखते हैं तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि जो क्रूड ऑयल है उसके सबसे बड़े बायर कौन है दुनिया में। अफ्रीका के कंट्रीज नहीं है, अमेरिका भी एक बड़ा बायर है, लेकिन उसके पास तो ऑयल है काफ़ी, काफ़ी दुनिया का ऑयल कंट्रोल करता है। और सबसे जो बड़े बायर हैं जिनके पास ऑयल नहीं है वो है चाइना और इंडिया। तो ये दो देशों को काफ़ी महंगा ऑयल खरीदना पड़ा पिछले कुछ महीनों में, और फिर काफ़ी जद्दोजहद हुई, कोई कहीं से खरीद रहा है, कोई कहीं से खरीद रहा है। तो इंडिया ने भी ये सब काम किए। तो बहरहाल सब लोग जो ऑयल प्रोड्यूस करते हैं इंक्लूडिंग रशिया, दे वर वेरी हैप्पी कि भाई प्राइस बढ़ गया तो हम पैसे कमा रहे हैं। तो ये जो लड़ाई हो रही थी उसके ऊपर से ये बात करते थे कि भाई बुरी बात है, बुरी बात है, लेकिन अंदर अंदर बड़े खुश हो रहे थे। अब क्या हुआ है कि पिछले 2 दिनों में खबर आ रही है कि अमेरिका और ईरान का जो एग्रीमेंट है वो पूरा हो चुका है। और खबर आते ही प्राइस जो है ऑयल का एकदम $75 आ गया। कल के मैं रेट बता रहा हूँ, आज का मैंने अभी चेक नहीं किया है, लेकिन कल $75 आ गया। $75 एकदम से गिरावट आई है। तो जो पैसे जो कमा रहे थे, जो कंट्रीज जो खुश थे, पैसे कमा रहे थे, लेकिन ऊपर ऊपर से दिखा रहे थे शांति होनी चाहिए, ब्ला ब्ला बोल रहे थे, लेकिन अब वो $75 आ गया तो उनकी इनकम में थोड़ी गिरावट आएगी। और कॉन्सिक्वेंटली क्या होगा कि जो मेजर बायर है विच इज़ इंडिया और चाइना, इनको थोड़ी राहत मिलेगी। तो ये गिरावट जो आ रही है, और अगर ये सब ऐसे ही चलता रहा तो बिल्कुल गिर के, ऐसा बोला जा रहा है, कुछ विशेषज्ञ बोल रहे हैं कि ये $50 तक आ सकती है। जब $50 आ जाएगा तो मतलब जो अभी तक पैसे कमा रहे थे उसके आधे ही कमा पाएंगे। जो ऑयल प्रोड्यूसिंग नेशंस हैं उनके आधे ही कमा पाएंगे, तो उसकी वजह से उनकी आमदनी कम हो जाएगी, उनके पैसे कम हो जाएंगे। तो क्या ये जो ड्रॉप है या जो एग्रीमेंट है ये परमानेंट है, या किसी और नए गंभीर किसी स्थिति की चेतावनी देता है? तो दोस्तों, अगर आप यहाँ तक पहुँचे हैं तो हमें कमेंट करके ज़रूर बताएं कि आप किस शहर से हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं। सबसे पहले ये समझना जरूरी है कि हम यहाँ तक पहुँचे कैसे। फरवरी में अमेरिका और के बीच में सैन्य वार्ता हुई जो विफल हुई, फिर उनकी लड़ाई हुई, फिर चेक पॉइंट बनाए गए, और उसके बाद ये बोला गया कि ये कंट्रीज़ को अलाउड है, इनको नहीं अलाउड है, अमेरिका को अलाउड नहीं है, चाइना और इंडिया को अलाउड है। बैकडोर बहुत डिस्कशन चल रहा था, और जो देश ऐसा लग रहा था जो ईरान के दुश्मन है नेबरहुड के अंदर, जैसे कतर है, यूएई, वो भी अपने बैकडोर डिस्कशन कर रहे थे, और कोई नहीं चाहता था कि वहाँ पे और तबाही हो, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली अगर वहाँ तबाही होगी तो ऑयल का प्राइस, जो ग्लोबल ऑयल का प्राइस है, आसमान छू देगा। तो उसके बाद धीरे धीरे वो कंट्रोल रिएक्शन चलता रहा, एक दूसरे को धमकियां देते रहे लोग, लेकिन फाइनली कल जाके डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने बोला है कि हमारा वर्बल एग्रीमेंट हो गया है। हालांकि अभी ये साइन नहीं हुआ है, वर्बल एग्रीमेंट हो गया है। जैसे ही ये खबर आई प्राइस एकदम नीचे लुढ़क गया, $75 हो गया, विच इज़ रीजनेबल। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि अच्छी बात है कि बुरी बात है, लेकिन क्योंकि अब प्राइस कम हो रहे हैं जिससे अमेरिका को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। प्राइस कम होने से अमेरिका को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, बिकॉज अमेरिका के पास तो सऊदी का ऑयल है उनके पास। ईरान के साथ अब दोस्ती हो गई है, अभी साइन होना बाकी है, लेकिन वेनेजुएला का जो टॉप ग्रेड ऑयल है वो उनके पास है। फर्क पड़ता है ब्राजील, इसराइल और सऊदी को, तो उनके पैसे कम हो रहे हैं। तो उसकी वजह से अब क्या होगा, आगे क्या होगा? दोबारा से कुछ देश नाखुश हो जाएंगे और लड़ाई पे जाने की बात करेंगे, या जो जियोपॉलिटिक्स है वो एक नया रूप लेगा, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली जो 75% दुनिया का जो ट्रेड होता है, ग्लोबल ट्रेड, वो ऑयल ही होता है। हम जो रोजेस और टी और जो भी और चीज़ें हैं जो हम बिजनेस करते हैं कंट्रीज आपस में, वो कुछ भी नहीं है कंपेयर टू द ऑयल ट्रेड। सो जितना भी हमारा मैरीटाइम जो हमारा ट्रैफिक चलता है अटलांटिक में और इंडियन ओशन में, उसमें 75% आर दी ऑयल टैंकर्स। तो जो रिस्क प्रीमियम है वो भी अब खत्म हो गया, अब शांति हो गई है, और दोनों देशों ने अनाउंस कर दिया है कि अब हम 1 महीने के अंदर, 30 दिनों के अंदर स्ट्रेट ऑफ हार्मोज बिल्कुल पूरी तरह हर एक के लिए खुल जाएगा, कोई टोल टैक्स नहीं दिया जाएगा, और सब कुछ खत्म, मतलब जो लड़ाई थी वो सब खत्म हो गई है। अब आप इमेजिन करें, जो चीज़ें मैंने आपको बताई हैं कि अगर प्राइस कम होता रहा तो $50 आ जाएगा। इसका मतलब कि जो उन्नति कर रहे देश हैं चाइना और इंडिया, उनको काफ़ी फ़ायदा होगा, और जो देश जो ऑयल प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं उनको काफ़ी नुकसान हो जाएगा, और उनके अंदर 1-1.5 साल के अंदर ऐसे ही चलता रहा तो उनका जो पोजीशन है, ग्लोबल पोजीशन थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा। तो अभी देखना हमें ये है कि अगर ये डील फेल हो गई किसी वजह से सबसे बड़ा क्रॉनिक जो पॉइंट है इसमें वो ये है कि अमेरिका नहीं चाहता कि ईरान के पास एटॉमिक पावर बने। तो क्या वो अपना एम्बिशन छोड़ देंगे? क्या वो कुछ और बैकग्राउंड एक्टिविटी करेंगे? क्योंकि इस चीज़ के अंदर दुनिया के देशों में काफ़ी बैकग्राउंड डिस्कशन और बैकडोर डिस्कशंस काफ़ी चल रहे हैं, और ये जो शांति है अभी हुई नहीं है, वर्बल एग्रीमेंट हुआ है, जिसको ईरान ने भी कहा है कि हमारा एग्रीमेंट हो गया है, और यूएस ने इनके जो पूरे ब्लॉक जो एसेट्स थे पिछले 40 साल से ब्लॉक किए हुए थे, वो सारे आज खोल दिए हैं। आज की खबर ये है कि वो अनब्लॉक कर दिए हैं। तो 1989 से जो ब्लॉक किए हुए थे सारे आज खोल दिए गए हैं। तो ईरान के पास काफ़ी पैसे आ जाएंगे, और उसके अगेंस्ट ईरान बोल रहा है कि मुझे एटॉमिक पावर नहीं बनना है, और वो एटॉमिक पावर जो भी है वो अब अमेरिका के हाथ में रहेगा। तो ईरान ने अपने ड्रीम्स को गिव अप कर दिया है। तो आपको क्या लगता है, ये एक फोर्स्ड एग्रीमेंट है? अगर ये एग्रीमेंट पिछले अगले 30 दिनों में साइन नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा? दोबारा से नई तरीके की कोई लड़ाई हो सकती है? एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल है जो आ रहा है। मेरे ख्याल से वी हैव टू वेट फॉर नेक्स्ट 30 डेज, तब इसमें कुछ क्लैरिटी आएगी। तो दोस्तों, आप इसके बारे में क्या सोचते हैं जरूर कमेंट करके बताएं। आपको लगता है कि ये जो पीस है ये लास्टिंग पीस है, या एक कंट्रोल्ड, एक तरीके का कंट्रोल किया गया है, जिससे कि आप कुछ दें कुछ मैं लूं, कुछ आप, गिव एंड टेक हुआ है इसके अंदर, जिसकी वजह से पीस लाई गई है? कमेंट करके बताएं, जरूर बताएं, जिससे पता चलेगा कि आप लोग क्या सोचते हैं। तो दोस्तों, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इस वीडियो को लाइक करें, शेयर करें। मिलता हूं जल्दी दूसरे वीडियो में दूसरे एनालिसिस के साथ। धन्यवाद। नमस्कारम दोस्तों, आप सबका स्वागत है। आज 30 जून है और आज मंगलवार का दिन है। सब जानते हैं कि जो मंगलवार का दिन होता है वो हनुमान जी के लिए समर्पित है। तो आज हम अपना दिन शुरू करेंगे हर रोज की तरह पूजा करके, और आज हम हनुमान चालीसा का पाठ करेंगे। तो ठीक है, हाथ जोड़ लीजिए, नमन कर लीजिए, और हम पाठ शुरू कर रहे हैं। श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज, निजमन मुकुर सुधार, बरनो रघुवर बिमल जसु, जो दायक फल चार। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानुके, सुमरो पवन कुमार, बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि, हरेउ कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपीस तेहु लोक उजागर, राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमत के संगी, कंचन वरन विराज सुबेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा, हाथ वज्र ओ ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूज जनेऊ साजे, शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन, विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर, प्रभु चरित्र सुनवे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया, सूक्ष्म रूप धरी सिंह दिखावा, विकट रूप धरी लंग जरावा, भीम रूप धरी असुर सहारे, रामचंद्र जी के काज संवारे, लाए सजीवन लखन जी आए, श्री रघुवीर हर्ष उर लाए, रघुपत कीनी बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई, सहस बदन तुमरो यश गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे, सनकादि ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा, जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाँ थे, कवि कोविद कह सके कहाँ थे, तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीना, राम मिलाए राजपद दीना, तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना, जुग सहस्त्र जोजन पर भानु, लीलियो ताही मधुर फल जानो, प्रभु मुद्रिका मेल मुख माही, जलद लांग गए अचरज नाही, दुर्गम का जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते, राम दुआरे तुम रखवाले, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे, सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना, आपन ते समारो आपे, तीनों लोग हाँकते कापे, भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे, नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा, संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे, सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा, और मनोरथ जो कोई लाए, सोई अमित जीवन फल पाए, चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा है, प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवाले, असुर निकंदन राम दुआरे, अस सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, अस पर दीन जान की माता, राम रसायन तुमरे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा, तुमरे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे, अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई, और देवता चित न धरे, हनुमत से ही सब सुख करे, संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमरे हनुमत बलबीरा, जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई, जो सतपार पाठ कर कोय, छूटे है बंदी महा सुख होई, जो ये पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, हुए सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा, तुलसीदास सदा हरिचेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय में डेरा, पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूरत रूप, राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसो सुरभूप। जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम। तो दोस्तों, आज हमारी पूजा संपन्न हुई। अब हम अपना दिन शुरू करेंगे। हमारी तरह आपका दिन भी शुभ रहे, इसी कामना के साथ इस वीडियो को हम यहीं समाप्त करते हैं। जल्दी मिलता हूं दूसरे वीडियो में। Hello friends, welcome once again. The biggest question in the boardroom today is the CEO or the leadership burnout. And it's becoming a very big problem in the 21st century, especially in 2026. So let me ask you, can ancient wisdom solve the 21st century burnout crisis? Therefore, in this video, we dive deep into Bhagavad Gita to uncover the secret weapon of the world's most effective CEOs, the inward gaze. While most leadership training focuses on the external strategy, the Gita teaches that the true power comes from the internal mastery. Let us explore this further. Friends, close your eyes for a second, but not that long, because you got a company to run. Think about your morning. How many notifications did you get before you wake up, right? So as you waking up, you see so many notifications in your email, right? A market dip in Asia, a key hire resignation, a competitor's aggressive new acquisition. As a CEO, your mind is battlefield. You are expected to be most external person in the organization, watching the charts, the people, and the future as well. But what if I told you that the most successful leaders in history, the one who remain unshakable when the ship is sinking, don't look outward for their primary strategy. They actually look inwards. Today we are decoding 7,000-year-old blueprint for executive excellence. It comes from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 28. It's verse about liberation. but for a modern leader, it's a manual for mental sovereignty. Let's look at the text of the verse 28, right? And the quote starts, shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eye and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breathing within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind and senses and intelligence. The transcendental leader seeking liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. Quote close. Well, friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, moving on. At first glance, this sounds like a guide for a monk in a cave. But let's translate this into a CEO speak. Let's look at it again. Shutting your external sense object, which is equal to filtering out the noise. Data is useful, but noise is deadly. Next is vision between the eyebrows. Single pointed focus, eliminating shiny object syndrome. Next, suspending the breathing, regulating the nervous system. You cannot lead if your body is in a permanent state of fight or flight, right? Free from desire, free from anger. That is the next phrase. This is the definition of objective decision making. Why does CEO need an inward gaze? Because the biggest threat in your company isn't the competition. It is your own unprocessed reactivity. When the CEO reacts out of fear, they cut costs into too early and stifle innovation. When they react out of desire, they over leverage and chase vanity metrics. When they react out of anger, they destroy corporate culture. The inward gaze mentioned in Gita is about becoming witness. In business psychology, we call this metacognition. It is the ability to watch your thoughts without being hijacked by them. Imagine a board meeting where room is heated, everyone is shouting, and if your gaze is inward, you aren't caught in the emotional crossfire. You are observing the pattern. You are the eye of the storm. That is a secret weapon. It allows you to see the signal while everyone else is drowning in the noise. The verse specifically mentioned equalizing the inhalation and exhalation. What does a spiritual text care about breathing? Well, because your breath is the remote control of your brain. Many of us know this fact. Breathing is the only a process in the body which can be controlled by you, as well as it is involuntary as well. Even if you don't think about breathing, your body continues to breathe, right? So there is a fine line using which you can start controlling your mind. So it's a common knowledge. Now let's proceed further. Science tells us that when you are stressed, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. This triggered the situation that most of us are, anxiety situation that most of us are suffering. The primitive part of the brain, which controls this whole thing, is basically creating an environment of fear in your brain. You lose access to your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex strategy and empathy. The Gita was teaching biohacking long before the term even existed. By equalizing the breathing, you manually reset your nervous system. The boardroom application, how does it apply in the boardroom? Before you walk into a high stress negotiation, or before you hit that send button on a difficult email, you practice verse 28. You equalize the breathing. You move from state of threat to the state of resourcefulness. This is how you command a room without saying a word. And that is a true executive presence. The final part of the verse says this path leads to liberation. For a CEO, what is liberation? It is a freedom from being a slave to the stock price, slave to the ego, or even opinion of the industry. So Gita teaches a concept called Nishkam Karma, acting without attachment to the results. This doesn't mean you don't care about profits. It means you are so focused on the excellence of the process that you aren't paralyzed by the fear of the outcome. When you are free from the fear of the and desire, you can make hard decisions. You can pivot the company when it is unpopular. You can stand by your values when it is expensive. You are liberated from the need for external validation, which makes you one of the most dangerous and effective leader in the market. So how do you master this inward gaze? It's not about quitting your job to meditate. It's about integrating Gita into your workflow. And how you can do that? Starting with morning silence. Spend 5 minutes shutting out sense object. No phones, no email, just your breathing. Start thinking about your breathing process only for 5 minutes. All right. Next, 3 breathe rule. Before every meeting, equalize your inhalation and exhalation. Equal, right? Slow it down. Next, the mirror check. Ask yourself, am I moving towards the goal out of fear or out of purpose? Right? Mastering the inward gaze doesn't make you a passive leader at all. It makes you an unstoppable one. It transforms you from a CEO who is pushed by the world into a leadership role, or another person is who's actually shaping the world itself. Right? So it transforms that. Gita says that this is a way for the liberation for the leadership role. In the business world, we just call it the greatness. So friends, what do you think? If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Thanks for joining live. Thanks for watching. And if you found this leadership lesson valuable, subscribe for more ancient wisdom for the modern businesses. Now you can go lead from within. All right. So before we end this section, I'd like to speak few words about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
For centuries, silence was the cruelest prison for those trapped by paralysis. Mind alive with words, yet bodies unable to release them. Now, science has carved a doorway through that silence. A neutral implant nested deep within the brain has transformed into voice, allowing man once muted by paralysis to speak again. It is not just technology, it is rebirth of dialogue, the return of laughter, and the restoration of human connection. In this moment, circuits and neurons conspire to prove that even silence can be rewritten. So let's find out more about this. In the hushed corridor of medical history, there are moments when science does more than advance. It is redeemed. One such moment unfolded recently when a man living with severe paralysis spoke again. not through the movement of lips or the vibration of vocal cords, but through the silent language of his brain. A neutral implant, delicately actually placed within the fold of his cortex, became the bridge between thoughts and sound, making a leap in assistive technology that feels both futuristic and profoundly human. Paralysis is a thief of agency. It locks the body in stillness while leaving the mind restless, alive, and yearning to connect. For decades, a patient relied on pain-taking method like eye tracking devices, letterboards, or laborious typing system to express themselves. Each word was battle against time and definitely a limitation. But this breakthrough actually changed the battlefield entirely. Electrode embedded in the mind, captured by electrical whispers of intention. Algorithm translate those signal into phonemes, and synthetic voice actually carried them into the world. For the first time, the thought itself became a speech. So friends, if you have reached so far, please let us know from which city you have tuned in. That will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So moving forward on this interesting topic, what makes this achievement extraordinary is not just its novelty, but its durability. Earlier, the brain-computer interfaces often flattered, and they are promised deemed by scar tissue or fading signal strength. This implant, however, endured, and day after day, it continues to decode the man's thought into words, proving that the technology could be more than a fleeting experiment. It could be lasting lifeline, and the patient could converse with family, express emotions, and reclaim the rhythm of dialogue. And in this exchange of silence was not merely broken, it is banished. Now the implication ripple outward. Imagine a classroom where the students with disability participate without barrier. Workplace where paralysis no longer excludes, and home where loved one hear not just gesture but voices. So this implant is more than a medical device. It is it's like a more of a restoration of dignity, a reminder that communication is not a luxury, but a human right. It transformed the isolation into connection and connection into belonging. Yet, as with all great leaps, question arise. Who owns the data flowing from human brains? How do we safeguard the privacy when thoughts can be translated into words? And what happens when such technology moves beyond therapy into implants and into enhance when the healthy individual seeks implants to accelerate learning or multitasking? The line between healing and augmentation blur, and the society must decide how far it is willing to cross. And these debates are not distraction, they are the ethical compass that must guide innovation. So for now, though the focus remains on the man whose voice was returned, his the first word were not technical jargon or clinical proof, but a simple expression of gratitude and love. In that moment, the science become human. The implant was not just electrodes or codes. It is Definitely. Laughter, storytelling, and everyday poetry of speech. It is definitely a reminder that technology is the highest calling is compassion. So this breakthrough marks a turning point in assistive technology. It demonstrates that brain-computer interface can be resilient, transformative, and deeply personal. It shows that silence need not to be permanent. And it reminds us that the ultimate goal of innovation is not progress for its own sake, but a restoration of what disease has taken away, the ability to speak and to connect and to be heard. For the patient, each spoken word is a victory reclaimed from years of silence. The future of neurotechnology is unfolding, and with it, the promise that no voice will remain unheard. And so, in a world where the silence once seemed unbreakable, a single implant has rewritten the destiny. What began as a clinical experiment has bloomed into human triumph, a triumph definitely of thoughts, flowing into the words, words into the connection, and connection into hope. And this is not merely the story of man regaining his voice, it is the dawn of new era where technology listens to mind and speak for the soul. So the breakthrough reminds us that the science at its best is not about machine, it is about restoring humanity. And in the echo of his first spoken words, we hear the promise, the future where no voice is lost and no silence is final. So we have come to the end of this great discussion. We look forward for your comments on this technology which is unfolding, and we will also request to like and subscribe our channel and look forward for your comments and see you in the next one. So bye.